Hi, it's Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. Don't let going to the office become a grind unless it's a gourmet grind from discountcoffee.com. Enjoy coffee house blends that can't be found in stores. And don't be fooled by coffee services that lock you into paying more over time. Discountcoffee.com has the very same coffee brands and supplies for less shipped directly to your door. Plus, save 15% off your order with the promo code RightMind. That's discountcoffee.com.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
It all starts with Big Noon Kickoff, live from Happy Valley. Then, it's America's #1 game. The best pregame, the best announcers, the biggest games. Michigan, Penn State, Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox.
This is the Fox News Rundown. More up next.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
If George Soros wanted to destroy America, he'd be doing exactly what he's doing right now. We'll talk to Scott Shepard from the Free Enterprise Project about that Wednesday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Kids don't always like to get school report cards, but they are important and helpful. They document subjects where they're strong and others where they need to show some improvement. Ever wonder why you don't get a report on how your child's school compares to others? At the Show Me Institute, we think you should, and that's why we've started the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org, and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on several categories, such as student performance in English, language arts, and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district will have a grade, and the website is easy to use. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Now you can. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I'm a customer of Royal Banks of Missouri, which is a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations from St. Louis to St. Charles and Granite City to Hannibal. Royal Banks offers a full range of financial services, covering all of your personal and business banking needs, as well as access to over 200 ATM locations. And given today's new headlines in the banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks of Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank that's in your community. Visit them on the web at royalbanksofmo.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers Equipment Company, with 8 area locations. Visit them at seaversequipment.com.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first.
Every morning, the president wakes up to a top-secret brief on America's biggest challenges. Ever wished you were in the room? Of course you have. I'm Mike Baker, former CIA ops officer, and I'm here to give you the next best thing. Welcome to the President's Daily Brief podcast. Every weekday, I break down the day's most pressing issues in just 20 minutes. Get briefed. Stay ahead. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
On this Wednesday, with weak polling for President Biden, the nation can expect a political blitz over the next few weeks. The strategy will be delivered two ways. First, Mr. Biden will do a round of friendly interviews touting his vast success. And second, his media allies will begin breaking more Trump scandal stories. Expect to see anything and everything on the Get Trump front. With the primaries beginning in January, the air will be filled with suspicion and allegation. The Trump attacks will have to be sensational and personal. Classified documents and dubious real estate transactions are not going to damage him. I also expect Joe Biden will be completely exonerated in the classified documents case by Special Prosecutor Robert Hur. Meantime, Trump will face a federal courtroom in a similar situation. The unexpected, however, can visit Biden, as the House committees investigating Hunter's cash infusion will not stand down, and there is a chance, perhaps a good one, that President Biden will be impeached like President Trump was. This is like betting the over-under in the National Football League. No question, the mudslinging will be over the top as the press is salivating. But Biden's underwhelming performance may seal his doom. Back after this. If you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For a free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our temporary breakup with the fall season continues for just one more day. I'm forecasting a record-breaking 83 this afternoon, mostly sunny and breezy. But then a cold front moves through this evening, brings temperatures back down to earth. Just a low chance of a few showers along that front this evening. Really not much rain here. We're going to wake up around 50 degrees on Thursday and then bounce back to a much more typical high of only 60 tomorrow afternoon. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
When it's important to you,
Stay informed.
it's on News Talk STL.
56th Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Mike Johnson.
He is entrenched in it, cares about it, and I think he brings a good heart to this.
News, analysis, and opinion.
The number one threat is Hezbollah.
The two-front war would be bad.
The border is wide open.
We're going to pay for Biden's border failures for a long time.
We cannot give up on peace.
101.9 and 94.1.
Gotta know what's happening.
News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It is debate day, and I know that's been overshadowed by other news stories that have been in the headlines and dominating social media, and I get that, but we really can't forget how important these debates are. That's why we're having a great debate watch party tonight. If you haven't already, you got a last chance to go ahead and reserve your tickets. Just go to newstalkstl.com right now and do that. The time is running out to be a part of it, but I hope you're there. I'd love to see you there tonight. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Hey, I'm Mike Ferguson. Good morning. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Wednesday morning. Yesterday on the program from the Daily Signal, we had Tyler O'Neill on the program with us, and the Biden administration is at it again. They are targeting, through the IRS, one of the conservative activist groups that's kind of been a thorn in their side politically, and we know that this has happened before with leftist presidents. Tyler had a really good article on that, and he gave us a little bit of time and kind of updated us on what's happening and also what we know, what we don't know, and the pattern that we're seeing. Here's the information. The IRS being accused of being weaponized by an administration to go after opponents. I'm looking at the Daily Signal's website, dailysignal.com, and the headline is very, very simple, very basic. IRS targets conservative group exposing the Biden administration. It was written by Tyler O'Neill, who joins me right now. And Tyler, is this a matter of second verse or third verse or fourth verse, same as the first? Because we've had this pattern in the past, not just with the Biden administration, but we've seen this before. Set this up for us. What's actually happening right now?
Yeah, it sounds remarkably familiar. Back in, under the Obama administration, it was on the front end where a whole bunch of conservative and Tea Party organizations applied for tax-exempt status with the IRS, something that the IRS, they do their due diligence, but normally it comes in a few months, and they'll go through your paperwork and decide whether or not you qualify for tax exemption. These Tea Party groups were waiting months and months and months and months, and they began to suspect that something was up. And of course, the Biden administration repeatedly said, "Oh no, there was no problem here. There was no targeting. There was nothing at all." And it's like, And so little do we know, back after the IRS, when Trump wins, after Trump takes office in 2017, sure enough, the Department of Justice settles a very massive lawsuit with a whole bunch of these Tea Party groups, paying them a rather hefty settlement for, surprise, surprise, IRS targeting. So now what we're seeing, what the American Accountability Foundation released yesterday is that they received a message from the IRS saying that they were going to be audited. Their Form 990 would be audited. That just means they're going to go through all of their documents and force the American Accountability Foundation to prove everything that it dotted its I's and crossed its T's. That's nothing, just a normal, routine thing. And of course, when I asked the IRS, the IRS gave me this statement. They said that under federal tax law, federal employees can neither confirm nor deny that a particular organization is or is not being audited. We're precluded from disclosing tax return information, which is like, you're not addressing whether you targeted this group. And by the way, American Accountability Foundation has drawn attention to many scandals of President Biden's nominees, leading to many nominees just being withdrawn. So President Biden puts out this radical anti-police nominee, and American Accountability Foundation calls him out on it, buys some ads, promotes the message, gets it in the national discourse, and Biden withdraws the nominee. And then suddenly, oh wait, the IRS is auditing American Accountability Foundation. What a total coincidence.
And didn't the United States Senator actually publicly say the IRS should go after American Accountability Foundation and maybe other groups like it?
Yes. This guy is, Sheldon Whitehouse is one of the craziest senators in that chamber. Like, he is foaming at the mouth constantly. He's the guy who's notorious for the billboards. And, I think Ted Cruz has used some of the billboards, but not like Sheldon Whitehouse. Like, Sheldon Whitehouse will put up this billboard that says, here's Charles Koch and David Koch, and here are all these Republican senators. And he draws like 5 different lines to intersect and show that, all the Republicans are being bought by these billionaire donors. And when you actually look at the evidence, it's like, no, they give to a wide spectrum of people, and no, it's not nearly as black and white as you're suggesting it is. But Sheldon Whitehouse is a crackpot conspiracy theorist who loves to spend all of his time going after anybody to the right of Karl Marx and conveniently ignoring all of the dark money on the political left. He puts himself out there as so he is this guy who puts himself out there as a good government, exposing dark money person, and then doesn't do anything on the left. And he has routinely gone after groups like American Accountability Foundation, and specifically American Accountability Foundation. And, of course, there is this trove of emails that the American Accountability Foundation published that they received through a FOIA request, where Sheldon Whitehouse is emailing the IRS, asking the IRS to investigate conservative groups. So maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist over here, but maybe the fact that Sheldon Whitehouse has been banging the drum on the American Accountability Foundation and asking the IRS to investigate and go after conservative groups and try to deny their tax-exempt status, maybe that had something to do with this audit. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, see, that was where I was going to go with the next question is, okay, so objectively, could it just be a matter of, hey, it was your turn, audits happen, sometimes your number gets drawn, nobody likes it, so what, you happen to oppose the Biden administration, but then now the FOIA requests are showing that there is a United States senator urging the IRS to do this. That kind of takes away the what a coincidence possibility here.
Yeah, so there are a lot of aspects of this that really scream coordination. And of course, we don't have any proof that this audit has happened specifically because of Sheldon Whitehouse, or specifically because, as you said, there is always the possibility that, well, maybe it was their turn. Maybe the IRS randomly selected them. We don't know. The IRS had told me that they, as a matter of course, do not engage in partisan or political, targeting for this. But of course, they're going to say that. So it remains unclear. What we do know is that there's a lot of reason to suspect that there's some funny business going on.
Good morning, Tyler. Sal Ponticus here. So from my perspective, we've got a White House and an administration that refuses to call folks on the left as extremists, but they will call parents and conservatives and MAGA America First folks and everyone else on the right as extremists. So do you think citizens are starting to wake up to this two-tier system?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people are waking up to it. And this represents just one more example along those lines. And like I said, we don't know for certain that the IRS targeted American Accountability Foundation for its political leanings, but, all signs lead in that direction. And as you noted, the Biden DOJ and FBI have gone after, they've gone after pro-lifers who have protested in front of abortion clinics. They have, and meanwhile, not prosecuting all the violence and the attacks on pro-life pregnancy centers and even Catholic churches that we've seen across this country after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. But one of the things that has stood out to me over and over again is the relationship between the Biden administration and the Southern Poverty Law Center. I wrote a book called Making Hate Pay: The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is a group that nobody should be relying on, especially for accusations of hate against conservatives. The SPLC has a long track record of smearing mainstream conservative groups as hate groups and putting them on a map with the KKK as part of a fundraising scheme that their own former employee has fessed up to. But the Biden administration, the Biden White House has met with the SPLC more than 10 times in its first few years. And, of course, the FBI, the Richmond office of the FBI, relied on the SPLC to target radical traditional Catholics, as they call them. And Biden nominated an SPLC attorney to a top federal judgeship, and she got confirmed. So the relationship that Biden has with this organization only underscores what you're talking about, which is the targeting of American citizens for disagreeing with the left's agenda. particularly when it comes to the sexualization of children and parental rights in education.
The article is called IRS Targets Conservative Group Exposing the Biden Administration. It was written by Tyler O'Neill. And Tyler, I've just got a minute or so left here, but that's where I wanted to follow up with, if this were the first time that something like this would happen, it would be easy to say, okay, well, you happen to be conservative, you happen to be audited, but we've seen the pattern of what a lot of conservatives are now calling weaponization of law enforcement, and the IRS actually is a law enforcement agency.
Yes. So that's the, and this is always the fear that we've had for a long time, is that the IRS will be weaponized in this way. And we've seen, I believe there was a conservative group, a Christian group, that had its IRS status called into question by the IRS for its opposition to the LGBT agenda. I have to trace it down. But this is not the first time, even under the Biden administration, it seems the IRS has moved against conservatives. And we have to be constantly vigilant and on the lookout for this administration weaponizing itself to go after Americans for believing, in some cases, what Christians have believed for millennia, what conservatives have stood for decades, and pretty much what our Constitution and what our system of government was founded on. These principles are being demonized and targeted by the very government that relies on them.
We're going to get things going with that news roundup here in about 2 minutes and 22 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. And talk.
It's going to be Iran's decision, just as the Hamas attack was Iran's decision.
It matters to St. Louis.
We're going to pay for Biden's border failures for a long time.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Well, it happened. Rashida Tlaib is censured by her colleagues in Congress.
Well, it's about time.
Yeah. Now, what does this actually do? Not much.
No.
Inflames some emotions, but it's a rebuke that I did not expect would actually happen. So we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. All right, overall, Democrats actually had a pretty good day at the polls around the country yesterday. Pundits say that sets the tone for 2024. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned yesterday, I don't think that, what happens in Virginia sets the tone for the whole country. I did say, though, I said, Ohio may have a little more of the finger on the pulse of at least a bulk of the country. But I'll go over some of the results around the country and get your thoughts on that. A lot of pundits just talk and want to sound like experts because they need to sell their expertise on TV. That's what they have to do.
And it's not really just an off-year election. It's an off-year election.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I've got yesterday's election results from the St. Louis metro area as well. All right. Let's see here. A Jordanian national illegal immigrant from Jordan who is caught in the U.S., and officials say that he was ready to attack a Houston Jewish community. Fortunately, Texas authorities found him. Governor Greg Abbott is blaming the Biden administration's border policies for this entire situation. He was on Fox News' America Reports.
Joe Biden has failed in his responsibility as commander-in-chief to make sure we secure the United States of America, and he's failed in that regard by failing to secure the border.
Yeah, so the courts are split on a lot of things, but they're starting to favor Texas's aggressive anti-illegal immigration efforts as well. This is the exact kind of disaster that is crucial, that highlights why it's so crucial the border remains a priority.
And as long as it remains open, I'm sorry to say, we're going to have to get used to stories like this popping up.
Yeah, this is actually the good outcome because they caught him before he was able to do anything. All right. Okay, so in Washington, D.C., this happened.
On this vote, the yeas are 234 and the nays are 188, with 4 answering present. The resolution is adopted.
And that resolution was to censure Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who is a nutcase out of Michigan. She is censured for her response to the war between Israel and Hamas, actually saying from the river to the sea in one of her statements, meaning, she was using the same language as those who want to exterminate Jewish people from the Middle East. 22 Democrats voted for the resolution. 4 Republicans voted against the resolution. Cori Bush went on an unhinged rant, which I'll play here in just a little bit still.
Oh, that'll be fun to hear.
Oh, it's nuts. Even by her standards, it's crazy. So we'll hear that.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here. Few election results. By a 57-43 margin, so this one was not close. Ohio voters enshrined abortion into their state constitution. Now, that's something left-wing activists want to do in Missouri as well. Ohio, like Missouri, failed to raise the bar when it comes to amending the state constitution. So 50% plus 1 vote in any given election is enough to do just that. Other election results in Kentucky, Democratic Governor Andy Beshear won re-election. Mississippi's governor, Republican Tate Reeves, was reelected. And Democrats in Virginia, they held control of the state Senate, but it looks like they've actually flipped and reclaimed control of their House of Delegates, which, of course, would be their equivalent to our House of Representatives. That's what I meant when I said that there was a pretty good night for Democrats around the country. And so what this means is that Glenn Youngkin's going to have a very, very difficult time. He's going to have a very difficult time pushing the rest of his agenda forward over the next probably 2 years. So this is a big setback for Republicans in Virginia. What I'm really worried about is what the Democrats are going to be able to stop there when it comes to the insane, woke, perverted stuff in the public schools, which Youngkin has been a leader on out there.
Yeah, like you, I've been keeping an eye on Virginia. And also I was keeping a side eye on Kentucky because I was hoping maybe something would change there. But no, the Democratic governor won the re-election.
Yeah.
There.
Yep, he sure did. All right. House Oversight Committee Chairman, that is James Comer out of Kentucky. Speaking of Kentucky, he says that he plans to issue subpoenas to every member of the Biden family to testify before Congress. He was on Fox's The Ingram Angle, and he says that he and the other Republicans say they have enough evidence to prove that the Bidens profited from multiple foreign business deals.
We've traced the money to where we can look at specific transactions, trace them back to the country of their origin, and trace them all the way through the shell companies, all the way through the money laundering processes to 10 different Biden family members.
The Biden administration's response to those accusations is, didn't do it. Nope, wasn't us. Somebody else. I didn't do it. Nothing to do with that. Don't look here.
Move along.
Yep, that's basically it. Okay, tonight is the third Republican presidential debate. 5 of the candidates will be part of it. And, of course, you can join us and Americans for Prosperity and the St. Louis County Young Republicans for a debate watch party at the Westport Playhouse. If you want to go, get on the list. Go to newstalkstl.com. I say that because the bosses have not told us that we can cut off the reservation. So until I hear differently, until my phone text starts lighting up, go ahead and go to newstalkstl.com and get on the list. It's free to go, but you want to be on the list. We need to know you're coming.
And there's free food from Drunken Fish.
Yep.
And we'll try to sneak you in.
Yes, right. So go ahead and do it, newstalkstl.com, and the link to that event is there. And we, of course, will be broadcasting the debate and having a live conversation on our social media platforms as well. So going to be a fun night. It's going to be a big night. So hopefully you can make it out. And tell your friends about it, too. So, just newstalkstl.com and get the reservation. And we just want to make sure we have enough food for everybody. Food's free. The bar is cash, but the food is free. Westport Playhouse tonight. We're going to be here. We're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Chris Arps, Tim Jones, all going to be there. It's going to be a great time. All right, sports news here. Blues kind of took one on the chin last night. Yeah, they lost to the Jets. Final score was 5-2. The kind of collective agreement in the locker room after the game was that the Blues just didn't capitalize on opportunities, and they just kind of didn't quite play a full 60 minutes. They kind of stopped going there a little bit into the third period. That was not good. But
so final score was 5-2.
5-2.
All right.
Yep. So the Blues wrap up their homestand on Thursday. Arizona is in town, and then they've got 2 or 3 games on the road after that. So still, they're basically right at 500. So this is not a bad start to the season, and we're seeing a few little flashes of potential that kind of have my attention to where I'm saying, all right, this could be a good season. This could be a good season. We'll see how it goes. I don't know yet. I've learned not to get my hopes up too much, but still. I think we could have a decent year.
And you mentioned some ticket prices yesterday for last night's game were very moderate, and it's the same for tomorrow night's game.
Oh, I bet.
I saw tickets even down to about $10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions. And once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company. Not available in all states.
Hey, I'm here with one of our great friends, Rob Connor from Connor Roofing. You know, I talk about all the time who to trust, and trusting a company is everything to me. Why do people trust Connor Roofing?
Well, 30 years of being an honest roofing company that you can call and get an honest opinion on your project. We've got thousands of customers that are very happy that they did call us.
If there's a storm, the shingles fly off the house, first thing you should do is call 314-375-7475. That's how you get in touch with Connor Roofing or ConnorRoofing.com. That's ConnerRoofing.com.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s New Country streaming now. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The UN says more Palestinians are fleeing the combat zone in northern Gaza.
The pace of Palestinian civilians fleeing the combat zone in northern Gaza has picked up as Israel's air and ground campaign there intensifies. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reports about 15,000 people left on Tuesday, compared to 5,000 on Monday and 2,000 on Sunday. The densely populated northern area of Gaza, specifically Gaza City and adjacent crowded urban refugee camps, are the focus of Israel's campaign to crush Hamas, the militant group that's ruled Gaza for 16 years. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The White House says it's skeptical of the latest battleground state poll showing Donald Trump leading Joe Biden. The polls conducted by the New York Times and Siena College show the president trailing Trump in 5 of the 6 states, all states that Joe Biden won in 2020. State Democrats who were aiming to stop the Republican momentum in Virginia have apparently gotten their wish.
Heading into Election Day, Republicans held a 2-vote majority in the House of Delegates. Unofficial results showed Democrats taking 51 of 100 seats, with Republicans winning 49 by early this morning. Democrats had 22 of 40 seats in the Virginia Senate, but may have lost 1, while the GOP appears to have won 19 seats. However, some races were decided by such close margins that recounts could alter the outcome. Anne-Marie Morgan reporting.
Global shares mostly lower and muted, trading ahead of a speech by U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, a speech that may very well point the way for future interest rate policy. Right now, Dow futures are up by 20 points. More of these stories at townhall.com.
Don't Mess, the new movie by Dinesh D'Souza. Police State.
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech.
MAGA Republicans threaten the very foundation of our republic.
Are we becoming a police state?
The government is trying to crush the conservative movement, our society, and our freedoms.
They define you as radical. How did we give the state this kind of power?
If they're coming for me, they're coming for you.
Police State. Buy it or stream it now at policestatefilm.net. policestatefilm.net.
This Friday,
Harry, God has chosen you to have a son, the King of all kings.
The greatest story ever told is now an epic Christmas musical for the whole family.
You truly believe that this child is the chosen one. What is his name?
Jesus.
Journey to Bethlehem. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters everywhere this Friday. Soundtrack also available. Get tickets now at JourneyToBethlehem.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our temporary breakup with the fall season continues for just one more day. I'm forecasting a record-breaking 83 this afternoon, mostly sunny and breezy. But then a cold front moves through this evening, brings temperatures back down to earth. Just a low chance of a few showers along that front this evening. Really not much rain here. We're going to wake up around 50 degrees on Thursday and then bounce back to a much more typical high of only 60 tomorrow afternoon. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Ackerman Toyota has the 2024 models. You're going to be impressed. Check them out in person at Ackerman Toyota, Hampton and Interstate 44. In fact, you've got to see the 2024 Toyota Sequoia. Very impressive. This is the time to buy and get top dollar for your vehicle. Looking for pre-owned? Ackerman Toyota can also help you. Ackerman Toyota at Hampton and 44. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
We're prepping for the debate watch party. We'll speak with Ken Waller, Missouri State Representative. Will the House get anything done in 2024? Carla Jones from ALEC on Israel, Hamas.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
All right, breaking news here. Cori Bush humiliates all decent people of St. Louis again.
Is that breaking news?
No,
I figured that's a continuous stream.
It's a day and then it ends in Y.
Yeah.
What a great way to start a Wednesday.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, hey, if you have not done it already, our streaming app, we have fine-tuned this thing. It is running on all cylinders. I know apps don't have cylinders, but you know. Check it out. Whatever your app store is, just find News Talk STL, download that. It takes up very little memory on your phone, and that way you can take our streaming audio anywhere you go, and then just Bluetooth it into your phone, and wherever you go, you can take us with you. It is completely free, and it took me less than 15 seconds to download it. Really, really easy.
You know what? I checked our app. It does have cylinders.
In other words, we need a good mechanic to do an endorsement deal for our app.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, get this. Rashida Tlaib formally censured by the House of Representatives.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Man. All right.
Now, this is the second attempt. The first one failed last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one did pass through. It's in response. Now, listen, she's allowed to say stupid stuff.
Yes.
Okay, just because she's a member of Congress doesn't mean that she says something unpopular and she gets censured. And censured used to mean something like really bad.
Yes.
I mean, if you got censured,
it was kind of a career killer.
Yeah, you were probably going to lose election because people were so mad. I don't know that means that anymore. But get this, on Wednesday, voting to censure Tlaib, not just because she's, anti-Israel. She's got a right to be anti-Israel, but because she was repeating terms like from the river to the sea. She was saying that. Mm-hmm. She has gotten on board literally with terrorist rhetoric.
Yeah.
And anti-Semitic rhetoric. I mean, and she is anti-Semitic. But on Fox News' special report with Brett Baer, Congressman Richie Torres, who, by the way, is a Democrat from New York, he explained why he was voting for the censure.
When you utter the phrase from the river to the sea, you're not simply calling for the creation of a Palestinian state, which is fair game, but you're calling for the destruction of Israel as a Jewish state, which is a line that no member should ever cross. And so it's the right of Congress as an institution to vote for a censure that condemns hate speech.
And they did censure her, as we just said. And, of course, Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, they have both said this will not stop Palestinian voices. You know what? I don't care what Palestinian voices have to say. Palestinian voices don't have a place in Congress.
This is America.
Yeah, precisely. Okay, and Cori Bush,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. So while they're debating the censure motion, she had her time on this. I just, oh my gosh. Oh, should I just play it? Are you ready for this?
Probably not, but let's go.
Let's make sure Wesley Bell's listening. Here you go, Wes.
Bell campaign. Hey.
Here is the gentle lady from Missouri giving her speech as to why she's angry that there was an effort to censure Rashida Tlaib.
It's outrageous that my colleagues are blatantly attempting to silence the only Palestinian American representative right here. It's outrageous, but it's not surprising. And let me tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people. It's not surprising because they thought it was right. It's not surprising because this is a place where members continue to claim that the insurrection on the Capitol just appeared to look like a normal tourist visit. It's not surprising because this is the place where our black and brown staff members repeatedly speak of experiencing racism and sexism, Islamophobia, get pushed off at elevators, xenophobia, and more right here in this workplace. This is the place. And let me say this. She mourns for the 1,400 Israelis.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
She mourns for the 10,000, and she will not stop. No
gentlelady's time has expired.
Ceasefire now. And she takes the death threats that you all sent, that they
The gentlelady is no longer recognized. The gentleman from Maryland.
To her, the desire to save lives is greater.
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
That's what I said.
Way to go, St. Louis.
It's great.
I'll be passing out aspirins here in a second.
Yeah, it makes you feel so good to be represented in Congress, doesn't it?
By the way, I want to know what blazonly is. That's what she started off with. Blazonly? What is that?
She said what she said.
She said what she said.
That's what she said.
Oh, my gosh.
What you talking about?
Oh, my goodness.
Lord.
Okay, I mean, later on today, probably sometime in the 7 o'clock hour, listen, Democrats in St. Louis, I know there's a lot of you listening to the show. Your move, okay? This is your move.
Ball's in your court.
You proud of this?
Yeah, I mean, because I've got to guess. I can't see. Here's what's really bad. I cannot even say that. Most Democrats are embarrassed by that. They don't want that. That doesn't represent them. I don't know.
No, you can't. Yeah,
I can't really say
that.
I know there's got to be a significant number of they're kind of doing the rub your temples thing, like so I know there are some that do that. But listen, Democrats, this is your move. I will tell you right now that Republicans around the country want Cori Bush reelected.
Yes.
I know that sounds weird, but I am telling you, Republicans all over the United States want Cori Bush reelected because she is so embarrassing that all you have to do is put a spotlight on her and she immediately raises money for Republican candidates all over the country. So Democrats, your move. Now, my loyalty is to the local community and she is terrible for it. So I would rather have you put somebody who I may disagree with on everything, but who is at least a respectable human being. Now, ideally, I'd love to see her just defeated and there be, a conservative in there, but I know the realities of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, it's kind of a any sane human 2024 kind of situation, right?
I mean, that rant right there. Wow.
It was kind of amazing. I started getting some vibes of the, taking shots from the hill sort of vibes. It was like, I really doubt that happened. I doubt people got pushed off of elevators.
Right.
And in the Capitol. I kind of, it doesn't sound right. Doesn't sit well. All the appeals to basically fake history. It's like, all right, okay, all right. I see that's her MO, so I get that's what she does. And then of course the attempted preacher cadence of her. Hey, look, I reckon I'm a PK.
Yeah.
I recognized what she was trying to do there.
Okay, listen, I'm a PK too.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the same cadence in our churches.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know what was different. I'm just saying there was something different between your church.
It was different.
But yeah, she claims to be a pastor.
That's right. You're right.
I don't know for which God that's between her.
And her chosen deity.
I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
I was never able to find out where or how she was pastoring anywhere. Because I remember when her signs initially went up when she ran the first time, and in our neighborhood in South City, they were everywhere.
Pastors.
And it mentioned pastor on there.
Yeah.
And I tried looking up information. I could not find anything
She
anywhere.
pastors at the same church as Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, maybe?
Yes,
Probably.
Yes, the ethereal church of woke.
Exactly. Oh, their Lord and Savior, Karl Marx.
Exactly.
All right, debate night. Debate night here.
Yeah.
We've got 5 of the Republican candidates. Doug Burgum's been pushed off the stage by the RNC. They've already announced that there's going to be a 4th debate, and they're raising the requirements even more to try to squeeze out some more people. So
Right.
they're going to try to get it down to probably 3 or so. But there's going to be 5. Ron DeSantis is going to be there. Nikki Haley is going to be there. Tim Scott's going to be there. Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be there, and Chris Christie is going to be there at the debate. Of course, we're going to have the watch party. I hope everybody comes out and joins us. We're going to be broadcasting the debate here on News Talk STL. I have high hopes that this could be really fascinating, could be interesting because of everything going on, not just around the world, but around the country as well. And what I'm hoping is that all of these campaigns learn their lesson not to take the WWF Battle Royale approach and actually have a real debate like they did the first time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to at least the potential of solid discussions, solid, time expansive sort of answers to questions, so that we can really know we can plumb the depths of everyone's versions of conservatism, so we can actually learn from one another.
Can it be informative rather than combative?
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't mind combative in the right way.
True.
Yeah.
True.
But what you can't do is just do the thing where you're going for the social media sound bites on this. But I will tell you this. Either way, if we've got that great, productive, informative, fascinating discussion, we're going to have a great time at Westport Playhouse tonight. And if we get the absolute disaster and mess, we're going to have a really good time at Westport Playhouse tonight. It's going to be like a giant group Mystery Science 3000. I'm not letting any of them off the hook if they do that crap again. And I like some of the people who are debating tonight.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, if they do that crap again, then it's probably going to be even more interesting in person at Westport Playhouse.
Absolutely.
But my guess is that they all looked at that second one and went, man, that first debate, the biggest television audience of a non-sports event of the year. Second one, not so much. Basically, they all decided to, jump on the Battle Royale approach, and then people tuned them out. So we'll see whether they learned their lesson or not.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Going to be fascinating. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on today. We had elections here in the St. Louis metro area, as we talked about yesterday. I've got the results for you. We'll talk about what the takeaways are from that. Let's do that right around 6:19 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark it is no more.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now before you blow us all away.
I got an email which brought a smile. A woman named Mary wrote me, "We are purchasing a new roof from John Beal based on your recommendation." I thanked her then. I do it again now. Mary, I only endorse clients I believe in, and I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. It's all about trust. So if, like Mary, you need John Beal, trust me. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Our good friend Congressman Eric Burleson.
We're now under impeachment inquiry. We're moving towards the efforts to be able to get the Biden's bank records. I think that we have now enough evidence to win that over to court. It's going to probably take 2 to 3 months. If I had to predict, I think that we will be impeaching Biden by spring.
Wow.
That's where things are headed.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for my friends at A Plus Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A Plus has always done great work for a great price. A Plus Plumbing and Drain is a local, family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A Plus for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A Plus Plumbing and Drain.
Facts don't matter. Lies don't matter. You or I lie, we go to jail. She lies.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
It's just part of the business. President lies, part of his business. Joe Biden couldn't tell the truth if he could remember it. And then you got Hunter Biden, because he's a drug addict, because he's a gun criminal, because, posts pictures of himself with hookers and crack pipes and all that kind of stuff. Now that makes him somehow wonderful.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
The Zoo.
From Scorpions.
By the Scorpions.
This is back in your wheelhouse again.
It is. I would not put the Scorpions in my top 10 favorite hair metal bands, but I love the song.
And they had a couple other really good ones, too.
Yeah.
They had a few that I even liked, and I wasn't really a metal guy like you were.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows Rock You Like a Hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows Winds of Change. But, this is a great classic Scorps song.
And no one loves me like you do, or something like that. Was that another Scorpion?
There's No One Like You.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Love that one, too.
The job is done. I go out. Another boring day.
See, I can get into
that's right.
metal like this. I don't know about you, Gabe, but I'm okay with that.
Stell was testing my hair metal gangster right off the bat.
I like this stuff, too.
All right. Manchester not gaining new citizens, and pot is getting more expensive in a few cities around the metro.
Oh, no.
Here's what's going on. All right. Okay, so here's an interesting question. 635. This is fascinating. Should elected officials be allowed to block someone on social media, or because they're elected officials, should they just have to deal with the trolls? Interesting question. This is being dealt with around the country in courtrooms. We're going to talk about that at 6:35 with one of the members of Harmeet Dillon's law firm, because they've got a lawyer on these cases. So we're going to talk to him around 6:35.
You mean the gal who should be heading the RNC? I'm not going to go back there.
If the
you got your milkshake.
Yeah, I got my milkshake. Hey, I wasn't saying I wanted Ronna McDaniel. I just said that's who I thought was going to win.
Yeah, you were right.
So one of her lawyers. Yes. So. All right.
I love Harmeet, by the way. That's why I mentioned that.
Oh, yeah. So she's, sure. This is a lawyer we're going to talk to in a few minutes. He's part of her group.
Good.
As well. So, okay. So Manchester, this was interesting. Manchester was deciding that big annexation question. And I looked at, when you look at the actual geographic map, geographically, it makes a lot of sense because Manchester is kind of like a boot shaped a little bit on the map, and then this would have filled in the part that was unincorporated but kind of in that vacant area in that boot. So overwhelmingly the people in Manchester voted for the annexation.
Okay.
Overwhelmingly the people in unincorporated St. Louis County voted against it.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
okay.
It wasn't even close. For instance, when you look at it, let's see here. In the now I say overwhelmingly, it was a low turnout election.
Yeah.
But in the city, it was let me find it here. Ladue, Greenside. Okay, there it is. Okay, so in the city, it was 80% yes for the annexation.
Mm-hmm.
In the county, it was 78% no.
Whoa. Wow.
So basically, you had a lot of people like, leave me alone.
Wow.
I'm out here for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. That's a good point, actually. I mean, that was funny, but yeah, that's probably true. as well. So that unincorporated part of the county is going to remain unincorporated. So when you've got a 78% of the people who voted saying, no, I don't want to annex with Manchester, that is not a matter of, boy, the county council and Sam Page really won that one. No, it was DOA. There was no way that was ever going to win whatsoever.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was no way.
Yeah. Let's see here. Other results from the area with Ladue. We knew they were going to raise the sales taxes because, hey, it's just money. But what percentage do you think was cast in favor of that half-cent sales tax?
In favor of the sales tax?
In favor of it, yes. In favor of increasing the sales tax.
Let's see. Low turnout, off-year election out of it's a pretty blue area, right?
Yeah, Ladue, yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Yes, 60%.
79.1.
Holy crap!
79.1.
That was overwhelming.
Said, yes, let's raise those taxes.
Wow, they really love themselves some tax increases, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
You know, guys, you can just write a check.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know, I don't know if you know this. It's like all you rich folks who are okay. It's like, I can pay more. Just pay more.
Yeah.
And you don't have to require it of anybody else.
Did you ever see those things where there was like a few years back, there was a proposal to like raise taxes on rich people and like all these virtue signaling millionaires were on camera going around saying, yes, we need to pay our fair share. And then some dude trolls them from a conservative site. I don't remember who it was, but he had a tablet. He goes, there's a place on the Department of Treasury's website where you can make a donation.
Right.
If that means that much to you, here, just donate. Here.
Yeah.
And he hands it to him.
Right.
He's like, and not a single one did it, and they got mad that he was offering that to them.
Like, this is what you're asking for. Oh, wait, actually, more so, you're asking other people to do this, and you're going to stand behind your accountant who will figure out a way for you not to do it.
Precisely. But you get credit for it.
You get credit.
That's right. Okay, St. John, the marijuana tax.
That's my middle name. What was it? What about it?
That's right. It is. They increased the marijuana tax by basically a 2-to-1 vote margin.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going up another 3%. Let's see here.
Makes sense. I mean, the laws that generally hit the various vices, they usually go through just because most people say, oh, it doesn't affect me, and it gets those people that I kind of don't like anyway. So go for it.
In St. Charles, it was a 3-to-1 margin, 74.4% to 25.6%. There would have been more people voting no against sales taxes increases on marijuana, but they were just stoned and like, dude, they just couldn't get out of bed.
They were tired.
Let's see here. What was the other one? It was St. John and what was it? Not Afton, but what was the other one?
The other location that was looking
the other
at
location.
Right, there were St. John, St. Charles,
and
Arnold.
Right. Yeah, Arnold passed it 72.8% to 27.2%.
Oh gosh, yeah, those are overwhelming numbers. Those
really
are
overwhelming numbers. Rockwood. Okay, so that Rockwood tax proposal, which Rockwood says is just moving tax dollars from one account to the other.
Yeah, it's like a move.
That's what they say.
It's lateral. It's not an increase, right? That was the argument.
The ballot issue says basically that it's increasing the tax levy. Now, it's also saying there's a plan to reduce another one. So that's what the argument
voluntarily.
So voters bought into it by a 66.3 to 33.7 margin.
Wow.
They approved that as well.
Also pretty overwhelming.
Assuming that the school board actually follows through and lowers the other one, then it could be a wash. But if they suddenly go, ooh, I don't know if we should do that, then you may have just been duped into raising your taxes.
The school board is not going to vote themselves less money.
I've never heard of a school board that's going to do that. Now, the Rockwood School Board, at least we have one conscience on there, because that last couple elections ago, Izzy Emmett got elected to it,
right?
And she's the conscience of it. And so she's kind of alone.
Yeah, she's by herself.
She's by herself out there.
Like trying to hold back a dam by yourself.
Right.
But that's breaking.
But at least she'll be able to keep that out there. So there will be a lot of pressure on the board to follow through with that, to lower that other one. So hopefully they will do the right thing and they will actually do that. Okay. So I don't know if that really tells us anything about the mood of the metro area when it comes to elections, because this stuff is basically a bunch of technical and cleanup stuff. It's not like big, massive issues or partisan stuff was on the ballot. It was really just kind of handling business. It was like a business meeting,
Right.
Where the very few people who pay close attention actually showed up to vote. So I don't think that actually tells you much about the metro area. I do think the election results around the country should be concerning for conservatives, should be concerning for Republicans, although I'm not going to go as far as to all of the blowhard pundits who are on cable news, are like, oh, this spells disaster for Republicans in 2024. I don't think that it does, but I do think you need to pay attention to the trends around the country, and those trends are not going the way that we'd like to see it.
They are not looking good right now. I think everybody was kind of clued in when the expected red wave didn't come, right? That kind of clued us in. But if you look even before that election, you started to see some chinks in the armor, really, for Republican turnout, Republican just vote attraction, especially among young people. Those margins are just getting bigger and wider constantly. Our ground game is still in the toilet. I've been screaming about the freaking ground game for the Republican Party for as long as I've been watching Republican politics, and we still don't learn any of the lessons from any of the people who've been successful in their smaller races. I don't know why we don't have the same type of strategy that former governor of Arkansas had a show.
Mike Huckabee.
Mike Huckabee.
Yeah.
Mike Huckabee pulled like 80% of the black vote for his reelection campaign in his state. Why isn't he basically heading a group that does exactly what his campaign did nationwide? Why isn't that a thing?
That's a great idea, and that's a good idea, but we have an inept RNC that can't see something like that, which is staring people right in the eyes. And you're absolutely right. Why can't somebody just follow up?
Even on the state level,
yes.
If I'm in the state next door, I'm gonna knock on his. I'm gonna drive over and talk to him in person. What did you do? Show me, master. It's like, why isn't anybody doing that? Maybe I've been watching too much kung fu movies.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And Mike Huckabee is just such a likable guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met him, briefly. I met him, a long time ago. Just a likable guy. And, of course, he's got his TV show that he's doing pretty well with.
Yeah, it's a likable TV show.
It is, yeah.
And he apparently knew what he was freaking doing when he was running an election campaign, or his people did. So they should be the leaders in all of the Republican ground. They should, at the very least, they should be consultants. Why are we giving them money, basically, to tell us what to do and how to do it? But here we are. Every cycle kind of feels like more of the same, and I don't understand why we're sabotaging ourselves this way.
And now his daughter is the governor of Arkansas.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. I bet she has similar people in her campaign as he did.
Yeah, if she's smart, she'll have a lot of the same people in her state government.
Yes,
that
also
he had. And Mike Huckabee was generally pretty conservative, very conservative, I would say. There's a few areas where he was a little big government conservative in a few areas.
Yeah.
His books are I've got a few of his books, and it's one of those things where I really, really like almost all of it. Then there's one thing at the end I'm like, no, that's not government's job.
No.
All right, but still, Mike Huckabee, I think one of the better conservatives we've had lately.
And we haven't had any more Mike Huckabees, have we? Like people who are so overwhelming, people who've made inroads into areas that just usually are not Republican strongholds.
I think you could argue that Greg Abbott has, and you could argue Ron DeSantis has in the Hispanic communities.
That's true.
Because,
although they may just be benefiting from a situation as opposed to their outreach is what did it. You know what I mean?
Miami-Dade flipped.
That's true.
That's
huge.
That's huge.
Yes.
So I would say you could say those two
Okay.
were maybe the only two.
It's the closest they come, man. Anyway.
Verdict remains out on Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. Let's see what happens in his next term.
Yeah.
To see how that he could be in that category as well. He's got a tougher lift in Virginia.
Now that the entire legislature has flipped on him.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Just ahead here, if you're a politician, do you have the right to say, I'm tired of these trolls and block somebody on social media?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Let's hear what some lawyers who are working on that case have to say. That's just ahead here on 1019 941 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our temporary breakup with the fall season continues for just one more day. I'm forecasting a record-breaking 83 this afternoon, mostly sunny and breezy. But then a cold front moves through this evening, brings temperatures back down to earth. Just a low chance of a few showers along that front this evening. Really not much rain here. We're going to wake up around 50 degrees on Thursday and then bounce back to a much more typical high of only 60 tomorrow afternoon. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Dealing with storm damage? Don't panic. Eureka Contracting and Roofing is here to help. With the recent storms, they understand it can be overwhelming. Remember, you don't have to rush into signing with the first door-to-door salesman. Don't let pushy sales tactics force you into a contract you're not comfortable with. Before making decisions, take a moment. Give the folks at Eureka Contracting and Roofing a call like I did for a no-pressure inspection. They'll assess the damage, determine if it's insurable. If it is, they'll guide you through the insurance process, and your only out-of-pocket expense will be your deductible. Eureka Contracting and Roofing, 636-938-ROOF, eurekacontracting.com.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Ali Dorhan from Turkey.
If you have 2 cars in Turkey, you would consider it very wealthy person. And here, when I heard about my friends, they have 2 cars. How come you're a teacher and you have 2 cars? And then it didn't make sense to me.
Stories of New Americans, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Speech, and when it comes to social media, there are a lot of answers we don't have yet because we don't know to ask the right questions. And when it comes to elected officials, well, they may not have the same rights as the rest of us, depending on how the courts decide. This is really an interesting case that's before the U.S. Supreme Court, and we'll talk about how that affects you. I'm Mike Ferguson. Okay, here's the name of the case. Lindke versus Freed. Now, that probably does not mean a darn thing to you, but it is about the First Amendment. It's about social media, and it's about the people that we elect to lead us and to make decisions. So do I have your attention now? Well, this case has to do with whether public officials can block you if they don't like what you're saying or if they just find you annoying. Because we can do that to anybody else, but can they do it to us? I am now joined by Gary Lakowski. He is with the Dillon Law Group. And Gary, I find this case really fascinating because I've seen similar cases around the country go different directions where essentially a public official says, this person's trolling me, they're being a jerk, they're harassing me. I just hit block. I don't want to deal with them on social media. And the Supreme Court is being asked to basically, as I understand it, to decide whether or not that's a violation of free speech. How do you assess the case itself?
So thank you for having me. And the case itself, I mean, this is a fascinating issue. As you noted, this has come up in a bunch of different places. It came up with President Trump's Twitter feed, came up with, I believe, a state representative out your way down in Missouri. It came up with a supervisor up here in my area, up in Northern Virginia. So it's come up all across the country where courts are addressing these questions of, hey, what can government officials do on social media? Can they block you? Are they acting as a government employee when they do that? Are they acting as, regular Joe, you or me when they do that? So it really is a fascinating issue to kind of sort out. And it's very tough for the courts as came across in the oral argument yesterday to kind of figure out where do you draw these lines? It seems like it should be a very simple question, can you block someone? But it turns out it can be very complicated when you get into these factors and when you get into kind of the different scenarios that can come up.
What is the difference with social media? I'm going to play devil's advocate, from the politician's perspective, Gary. If somebody is just being a jerk to me on Twitter or whatever, I can block them. But if I'm an elected official, they can still email me. They can still call me. In theory, they can still knock on my door in the state capitol and give me their opinion. So why would social media, from the court's perspective, be different or similar when it comes to speech and hearing what constituents have to say?
So it can be different in a couple of ways. One is I can email you as a citizen reaching out to the government, but you can't always reach me. And sometimes what some of these people have been doing in some of these cases is using their social media accounts to put out information about what the government's doing. So they're essentially making what are almost official announcements on social media. And it's changed over the years as to what kind of the consequences are from blocking someone or from keeping someone from accessing your page. But there's a risk there that if you block someone and they can't view your page, now they can no longer access that governmental information that you're sending out through your Twitter, through your Facebook, depending on what medium and what their blocking policies are for today. It's also a question of you've created a forum where people are discussing public ideas. And generally, we want that to be more sort of above board. We don't really like the idea of these smoke-filled rooms where people are getting together behind closed doors and making policy. So when we have these forums where people are engaging in open discussion about what should we do about COVID, what should we do about some of these school issues, what should we do about these other issues, and you have people chiming in directly to public officials and them responding and going back and forth about that, well, that looks more like it's an official action that's similar to, say, a rulemaking at the federal level, where you take public comment and you have people weigh in publicly so they can see what other people are saying and who's being influenced by what.
Does it matter if it's a personal account versus a government office account? Like, for instance, we've got people running for different offices, and they've got their official government office account, and then they've got a campaign account, and some of them still have a personal account. Does it matter which account we're talking about, or will the rules apply sort of across the board just because you're in elected office?
That's a great question, and it's one of the main questions the court's being asked to answer. So as you've sort of alluded to, this comes up in a couple different ways. Some people have an official government account. In that case, it's usually pretty clear that, okay, I'm acting in my government capacity. Where these cases, though, are coming up is where you have something that's something other than your official state-sponsored government account. So it's come up in cases where someone had a personal account that they had before they came into office. Once they came in, they started using it more as kind of a way of disseminating information about their official duties. It's come up where people have started off with a campaign account. They said, I'm running for office. I want to be the supervisor, the school board member, what have you. They get into office and they continue to use that account to do those types of things. And it comes up where people create what they say is a personal account, but it's created on their own time. No one asked them necessarily to do it, but it's after they became a government official, and it's used almost exclusively to talk about government.
We are visiting with Gary Lakowski from the Dillon Law Group. And Gary, it seems to me that this is almost a case where there could be a conflict of different people's right to speak or not speak. Is this a matter of the First Amendment isn't as clearly applied here as it would be in other cases?
In some ways, yes. And Justice Kagan actually noticed this and commented on it during the oral argument, that this is a case where there really are competing First Amendment values on both sides of the issue. On one hand, there's that sort of traditional First Amendment value of people should be able to criticize their government. Government can't tell you to go stand in a corner and be quiet if they don't like what you're saying. On the other hand, though, government officials are people just like the rest of us. They have First Amendment rights in their personal capacity when they're not wearing their government hat. And so how far do those rights extend? And those kind of collide into each other when you're talking about these official or semi-official accounts that are created. They are nominally private, but where people are using them to do stuff that looks an awful lot like it's their official work.
So if you had a vote or you were to argue before this U.S. Supreme Court on this, what would be, in your opinion, the right outcome that respects all First Amendment guarantees, but also allows everybody the maximum amount of freedom to speak or not speak?
So it's a tough question, and that's why the Supreme Court gets paid the big bucks to kind of settle this type of issue. I don't know that I can Sitting here today, it's tough to give a clear test. I think that came across during the argument where the justices are weighing different hypotheticals. Personally, I think it's going to be broader than what the Sixth Circuit did in this case. I think they took a very formalist approach. I don't think that's quite the right answer. I do think it's helpful, though, to look at it and try to establish bright lines for what government officials can do to clarify, okay, I'm wearing my government hat today, I'm not wearing my government hat. I think something like disclaimers is always useful. So if an official says this is my private account, that can be very helpful. Now, again, though, it gets tricky when you get into the weeds of that and whether or not and how people are using that. And it's come up in a number of other contexts. So it's a tough issue. Like I said, I think it's going to be broader than kind of what the Sixth Circuit did. And personally, I would make it broader than that. But I think the court's going to have a interesting time kind of defining these lines. And I don't know this will be the last answer on all these questions because of that.
Yeah, so they'll clear it up until the next round of technology comes into place and we have to address the questions all over again. Gary, where do we follow the work that you're doing or with the Dillon Law Group?
So I'm at the Law Walkowski on Twitter. You can follow me there. Dillon Law also has its own page.
All right, Gary Lakowski, thank you so much for the input on this, because this is one of those big conceptual questions that we don't have the answers to. The Supreme Court will make a decision, but at some point the technology is going to change and we just have to decide what we value when it comes to speech.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, I think this is a fascinating question here. What do you think? 314-912-1019. If it's a campaign account, I mean, if it is the representative this or senator that or governor this or whatever the case is, yeah, I think that would be just the same as sending out press releases from an official email account. But if it's a private account, if it's a personal account, well, you got a right to express your opinions just like everybody else, as long as somebody can still pick up the phone and call you or email you, and you have to take their input. I don't know. I think you should have some say as to who you deal with on social media in the private sector. But hey, once you become a public official, things could change. What do you think? I am open to having my mind changed on this. So let me know. 314-912-1019. Let's talk about it right here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to health care, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Okay, I want to start with your opinion here in just a minute, Gabe. But what do you think? Should politicians be allowed to block the trolls on social media? We'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah. I'm curious what I'm going to come up with too.
Yeah. All right. Corey Bush goes on another unhinged rant. Yes, I am going to play it for you. You're welcome. We're going to do that at 7:05. It is it's something, even for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I've got a question then for the Democrats, for the liberals here in the St. Louis area. Because, listen, there are going to be some who are going to hear this rant and go, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Probably a lot more than we'd want to admit. But I know there's got to be some center-left, old-fashioned liberals who still have a sense of decency, who have got to be like holding their head in shame that that's your representative.
Yeah, they're making that kind of grimace you make when you like stub your toe. You're like, ooh, ooh, ee. You know, you hit your elbow on something, like that face. Yeah. I think they're making that face at this.
Your kid says something offensive
in public
by asking a question, you know, that you don't want asked of somebody. You know?
Yeah.
Like apparently my mom would tell me that when I was little, my birthday is in late December. It's December 31st. And I was born 3 years and 10 days after my parents' wedding anniversary. They got married on December 21st of 1968. And I got married, or I was born on December 31st, 1971.
Right.
And so when I was a little kid, old enough to, understand basic numbers like preschool, apparently at the church my dad pastored at the time, I thought it was great to tell people I was born 10 days after mom and dad got married. And so my mom would have to run around chasing me like 3 years and 10 days after,
Yeah.
And so kind of that cringe, like, oh, no, don't say that.
I have a kid say the darndest thing moment. We can get to that later.
Okay.
Go ahead with our esteemed
So Gary
here.
Lakowski here, he that conversation we just had with him, I think is fascinating because this actually happened in Missouri. State Representative Cherie Tolson Reich from Central Missouri got slapped down by a court when she was blocking some people on her social media, and they were just leftists who were trolling her, constantly and harassing her online. And she's like, "I'm done with you."
Yeah.
Well, they sued. They and the ACLU sued.
Sure.
Saying you're blocking access.
You
to
can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. So if you're an elected official, do you give up the right on social media to block people on that? So far, overall, the courts have generally said, yep, you can't pick and choose who you're going to communicate with if you're a public official.
Right. Yeah, and I think if we're talking about, and I think this kind of came up during the conversation, the official, your official social media account versus your personal social media account, that you probably want a separation between those anyway. So certainly on your personal one, you should be able to, but from your official one, it's an avenue of communication, right? Now, of course, the other part of that is, well, isn't it possible then for people basically to have the mob veto, and you constantly bombard? You can pay people in India basically to bombard a single person.
Right.
So conceivably, your opposition could bombard you with simple, trollish, stupid comments, maybe nonsensical non sequiturs, and just completely fill up your Twitter feed with nonsense, so you can't actually communicate with anybody.
Right.
So it's possible that those types of things could be prohibitive to the purpose of the social media account to begin with.
Like a heckler's veto.
The heckler's veto.
Yeah, a social media version of heckler's veto.
Exactly.
Veto.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you had a personal account and all you did was post pictures of your puppies or your picnic or that kind of thing, you might be able to make that case. But so far the courts have said the second that you comment on anything politics or policy related or government related,
even from your personal account,
then it becomes, you're the representative, you're the senator, you're the governor, you're the whatever.
Now, I don't
even
like
if you have a separate account just for the government stuff.
I don't like that. I think you still need to be able to be a private citizen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, I have both a public and a sort of private account.
Right.
My St. John the Philosopher account is the one where I do most of my commenting on various things. Where I do a lot of the interaction on Twitter. This is on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then I have a one for myself basically.
I didn't know that.
And I haven't. The problem is I haven't used that other one since
Oh,
forever.
okay.
So I don't give it out because there's almost no point. But let's say, for instance, I forgot to switch over, on the little app. And I commented on something political on my personal. I don't want the same people who come after me or whatever on my St. John the Philosopher account going to my Gabe Pfeiffer account and making a mess of things. So I'd like to think that our elected officials are still capable of being private citizens on some level.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, an elected official is not allowed to say, we're going to block access to our press releases.
Right.
Of course, I go back in the news business long before I started doing this opinion stuff. I went back long enough to where you relied on news releases.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you asked to be on the news release list, they had to put you on it.
Right.
Period. So, my question in all this is, wait a minute, if I want to know what state representative, I'll just pull one out of my hat here, Tony Lovasco.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what state senator, Mary Elizabeth Coleman wants to do. If I want to know what's on there, I can go to their website.
Mm-hmm.
I can still call them.
Mm-hmm.
I can still go into the Capitol and knock on their door. I can
Right.
still do all that. Do I have to have access to what they're doing on Facebook or Twitter?
Right. Yeah.
And the courts so far have said, we're going to treat it all the same. They're not allowed to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, it's one thing to go to your representative's office with a complaint, and it's another to
Right.
go to their home's door.
Yeah.
Right? I think that separation ought to exist on social media as well.
Yeah, and it's just getting harder and harder and harder to do. And I mean, I don't do as much on social media as I think a lot of other people, especially in this industry, on this. But even I've caught in the ire of trolls.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Once or twice.
They pop out of the woodwork. Every
And
once in a while.
it can be absolutely brutal, and you have to catch your breath and remember, okay, this isn't real life. And if you're a political figure, like let's say Nick Schroer or somebody
Yeah.
like that. I mean, Nick loves
He
getting
likes
into
mixing it
fights
up
with the trolls. He loves doing that.
That stand and fight moniker for his show
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
just for show. He likes to mix it up.
His is kind of like stand and pick a fight.
And his nickname of Flamethrower.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah, but it's not an issue because I don't know if Nick blocks anybody or not, but I think he wants the trolls. But there are other people like Cherie Reich. She would put out her statements and then she'd just get jumped
Bombarded,
on
yeah.
by all the leftists, and some of them just got vile enough that she's like, "No, I'm done. I'm just blocking you." And the court said, "No, you can't do that."
Okay, so here's another wrinkle. What about the mute button? Because that exists on all social media platforms, at least that I'm aware of, where you don't necessarily because the way the block button works is they can't see anything that you do when you block them. They can't follow you, they can't respond to your post or anything like that. If you mute them, you don't see anything that they do. Now they can follow you, they can comment, but it just shows up in your feed as a blocked, comment from a blocked user. It's just kind of like a little line of text.
I would think that, boy, by some of these court rulings, they've said the purpose of not being allowed to block them is so they can communicate with you. So I would think
a
that
mute then actually would fall under the
that
same
would fall
category.
under the same category. But how are you going to know?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Unless you have direct access to their feed, you're not going to know that they're being muted.
Man,
Interesting.
okay. we know what conservatives think of Cori Bush. Liberals, I'm going to play part of her latest rant. I would love for you to give me some feedback. I don't think anybody's going to actually do it, but I would love to know what your excuse is for this. Oh, this is crazy.
Explain yourself.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Former President Trump will hold his own rally tonight instead of taking part in the third Republican debate.
Once again, Trump is skipping the debate, and once again, he's scheduled an event to compete with the debate. 1 hour before his GOP rivals take the stage in downtown Miami this evening, he'll hold a stadium rally in Hialeah, about a half hour away. The former president has repeatedly said he sees no point in participating in the primary debates, given his commanding lead in the race. Greg Clugston, Miami.
It was 1 month ago that Hamas launched its brutal assault against Israel, triggering a comprehensive response from the Israeli military. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis told the Salem Radio Network there is a shift in strategy in Iran's involvement.
Not only keep the tension high in the region, but have proxies that are working the international stage through, at this point, nonviolent actions.
Virginia Republicans hope to retain their majority in the House of Delegates and flip the state Senate to their control in Tuesday's election, but reporter Anne-Marie Morgan says Democrats apparently won the day.
Virginia polls indicate that Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin is more popular than Democratic President Joe Biden, but that did not swing the state elections. As of early this morning, Democrats have won majorities, 21 of 40 state Senate seats and 51 of 100 House of Delegate seats.
That is Anne-Marie Morgan, a mother in Uvalde, Texas, whose 10-year-old daughter was among those killed in the Robb Elementary School shooting, has lost her run for mayor.
So much hurt, and I wanted to be a part of helping that. I can still do that. And as far as why, I do everything for Lexi. Lexi is always with me. I take her no matter where I go.
Kimberly Mata Rubio has been pushing for stricter gun laws. More from townhall.com.
Harry, God has chosen you to have a son.
The greatest story ever told is now an epic Christmas musical for the whole family.
I won the mother found. You are in danger, Mary.
Starring Fiona Paloma, Milo Manheim, Lecrae, Joel Smallbone, and Academy Award nominee Antonio Banderas.
This child, what is his name?
Jesus.
Journey to Bethlehem. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters everywhere this Friday. Soundtrack also available. Get tickets now at JourneyToBethlehem.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at ReliefFactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com. Be the next success story. 5.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our temporary breakup with the fall season continues for just one more day. I'm forecasting a record-breaking 83 this afternoon, mostly sunny and breezy. But then a cold front moves through this evening, brings temperatures back down to earth. Just a low chance of a few showers along that front this evening. Really not much rain here. We're going to wake up around 50 degrees on Thursday and then bounce back to a much more typical high of only 60 tomorrow afternoon. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
You know, we're getting to the end of the year, and this isn't typically when a lot of people are saying, hey, let's go look at homes. Hey, which homes have those signs for sale out front? Because they don't have a lot of them right now. But the market is changing, and this might be the right time for you to make your move if you're ready to buy or sell a home. And that's why you got to call my friends Rodney and Jen. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. Listen, they will work with you at every level of a business transaction. They are licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. They offer flexible commission plans. They're going to meet your needs, and they have so many approved home buyers. You're ready to make a move. You just want to test the waters. They guarantee that you are going to get an offer. Yes, I know interest rates are high. We know that inflation is up, but they are so good at what they do. They know this market so well. You should not be afraid to look into buying or selling a home right now. Rodney and Jen, husband and wife team, as we've talked about in the past, so you get a family perspective. And Rodney and Jen are so passionate about helping families. I mean, this is what they live for. This is what they dedicate their career for. And honestly, when they are outside of work, like Jen has this great nonprofit she's worked with called Angels Arms, it's all about helping children who are struggling without families and foster care and, you know, getting children into the best environment possible. That's all part of who and what they are, and that's reflected in their work as well. So when you're getting ready to sell your home, you're not just getting the perspective of a real estate agent, and there's some good ones around the area. You're getting the perspective of somebody who has the resources of Berkshire Hathaway, who is passionate about fighting for their clients and fighting for the people they represent, getting you through this process and getting you the best dollar-for-dollar deal possible. There is a difference. Listen, no obligation, no long-term commitment. You change your mind? Okay, let them know. They'll let you out of the deal. 314-810-SOLD. Just call them. Call 314-810-SOLD and just ask them some questions. Just say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Talk to them for a couple of minutes, and you're going to be as impressed with them as I have been. 314-810-SOLD. No obligation. Just give them a call. And by the way, that's the number I call when I talk to Rodney and Jen. So Rodney or Jen's going to pick up the phone, or they're going to call you right back if they're on the phone with somebody else. So one more time, 314-810-SOLD. Selling your home with the Wallner Home Selling Team gives you the maximum exposure to the largest audience of potential buyers. They fight for their clients. They fight for the people they serve. They fight for the people they represent because they care. 314-810-SOLD.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, sometimes we get caught up in the political drama just because it's just that. It's drama, it's conflict, it's a big soap opera. You've heard people say that Washington is Hollywood for ugly people.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we get caught up in that. Other times, the drama, it matters.
Yeah, that's true.
So Rashida Tlaib censured. Cori Bush loses whatever her version of a mind is. We're going to play that for you. You do not want to miss that here in just a couple minutes, I'm saying. Hey, don't forget, tonight is the debate, GOP debate. We're going to be broadcasting that here on News Talk STL, but we're also going to be at the watch party. We're hosting the watch party along with our friends at Americans for Prosperity, Missouri. Matter of fact, Camelia Peterson from AFP is going to be in the studio with us here in about a half an hour. And St. Louis County Young Republicans are a part of this as well. It's happening at the Westport Playhouse tonight. Doors open at 6. It is free, but we need to get you a free ticket so that we can just make sure we've got enough food from the Drunken Fish. It's going to be there. There will be a cash bar prior to the debate starting around 6:30. Gabe and I are going to be part of a panel discussion with you. This is not just us talking to each other. So Gabe and me and Camelia, Jeremy Cady from Americans for Prosperity, and Frank Catanzaro from the St. Louis County Young Republicans. We're going to talk about this debate, the state of the race right now, the state of the Republican Party, the conservative movement, free market movement, and then we're going to hear that debate from 7 o'clock till right around 9 o'clock. And then after that, Tim Jones and Chris Arps going to take over at Westport Playhouse and kind of do a postgame. So if these candidates have that great exchange of ideas, we've got a lot to talk about. If they decide to become cartoon characters again, then we've got even more to talk about. So either way, this is where you want to be. There's going to be a number of candidates there. It's going to be a great, if nothing else, if you are connected with campaigns or politics or policy, freedom movement, conservative movement, anything like that, this is going to be a great networking opportunity as well. Okay, so yesterday in the U.S. House of Representatives, this happened.
The yeas are 234 and the nays are 188 with 4 answering present. The resolution is adopted.
And that resolution was to formally censure Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib of Michigan.
Yeah, so you know she was making way too much noise, so they smacked her with a newspaper.
Well, it wasn't even just that she was making too much noise; it was the wrong noise.
Yeah. You don't bark at these people,
right? You don't bite, basically.
Well, yes,
So,
don't bite.
For instance, Congressman Richie Torres, who was a Democrat out of New York, state of New York, he was one of the Democrats that voted for the censure. Because what they say, there was 20 or 22 Democrats who voted for it. There were 4 Republicans that voted against it. So that's what made this not a slim. I mean, it was clear censure of Rashida Tlaib. And he was on Fox. He was on Special Report. And here was the reasoning that he gave for censuring somebody from his own party.
When you utter the phrase "from the river to the sea," you're not simply calling for the creation of a Palestinian state, which is fair game, but you're calling for the destruction of Israel as a Jewish state, which is a line that no member should ever cross. And so it's the right of Congress as an institution to vote for a censure that condemns hate speech.
So there is a fine line when it comes to something like this, a fine line between you've got the right to say something stupid or offensive or unpopular, and you've crossed the line to the point where we will formally and officially reprimand you. So her right to free speech is not being stopped.
Right.
Okay. She can still go say "from the river to the sea" if that's what she wants to do. She can still say it. But what that means is basically it's a reprimand, and the United States House of Representatives is now on record saying, we think you were out of order. You were wrong. She's not being thrown out of office. She's not being thrown out of committees. As a matter of fact, the censure used to be a career ender because the district would be so embarrassed that their person got censured. I don't know that it means that. She'll probably be treated like a heroine in her district.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I think the equivalent of this would be like, okay, we disavow that. Yeah. It's like we have differences on things like that, but that's a step too far. We disavow any association with that sort of rhetoric, and that's kind of what the body was doing with that censure. But like you said, in these days of hyperpartisanship, when the other side comes at you, that's counted as a win.
Yeah.
So I think she's gonna just be treated like a rock star even more than she already is in her district.
Yeah,
You know,
in the far
you know
left,
what?
yeah.
I have no idea if she's on any committees at all, but if we do the flip test, and if this was a Republican, I bet there would be a huge outcry to have her taken off of any committees that she's involved with.
Yeah, probably, because there have been some fringy Republicans who have been removed from committees.
Yeah, that's true. They haven't even been censured, right? They've
Right.
just been removed from committees. It's like, okay, you're a little too nutty for us, so
Right.
we want to remove you.
Now,
yeah, that's a good point.
Now, for instance, George Santos being removed, okay, I get that
Mhm.
because you've got clear ethical
Yes.
issues, and he's admitted lying and all that. Okay, so that's one thing. But there are some just fringy, weirdo Republicans who have been removed because they're fringy and weirdo.
Right.
So, yeah, there would be that kind of outcry. And
Especially considering the committees that she's on.
Right. And when,
God.
and when you look at the squad, it doesn't get any more fringy than that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I have no idea if she's on any committees. I'm guessing she
yeah,
probably is.
Yeah, unless you've been booted off, you're on committees.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, like Santos is not.
I think she's on like a defense committee.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. And,
Yeah.
and Omar is on like one that's she
Mhm.
shouldn't be on. Omar's been kicked off one or two. I mean, but even here's the thing: is that even I think some. I'm not going to say most or even a majority. I think some Democrats, even those pretty hard to the left, are seeing this. These actions of Ilhan Omar and of Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush, which I'm going to play her rant here in just a second. And if they don't feel personally embarrassed, they at least know this is bad for their brand.
Right, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Well, but of course, it really depends on where it's coming from and
Mhm.
who's doing who's leading that charge, right? So now, if this was a largely Democratic effort to censure her,
yeah,
that would be a career ender.
That would be a huge deal.
That would be a career ender.
So Cori Bush, obviously a good friend of Rashida Tlaib and a supporter of Rashida Tlaib.
She got upset.
She was arguing against the censure, and she decided to damn the entire House of Representatives from day one until now. Here's Cori Bush losing whatever version of a mind she has in her noggin in the House of Representatives yesterday.
It's outrageous that my colleagues are blatantly attempting to silence the only Palestinian American representative right here. It's outrageous, but it's not surprising. And let me tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people. It's not surprising because they thought it was right. It's not surprising because this is a place where members continue to claim that the insurrection on the Capitol just appeared to look like a normal tourist visit. It's not surprising because this is the place where our black and brown staff members repeatedly speak of experiencing racism and sexism, Islamophobia, get pushed off at elevators, xenophobia, and more right here in this workplace. This is the place. And let me say this. She mourns for the 1,400 Israelis.
gentlelady's
that
time
lost
has
their lives. She
expired.
mourns for the 10,000, and she will not stop. No
gentlelady's
more.
time
no
has
more
expired.
ceasefire now. And she takes the death threats that you all sent that they
The
sent her
gentlelady
way,
is no
Mr.
longer
Speaker.
recognized. The gentleman from Maryland,
To her, the desire to save lives is greater
gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
than what I said.
Okay.
And she said what she said.
Somewhere, Lacey Clay is shaking his head and saying,
Yeah.
"I lost to that."
Yes. Yes. If I were Lacey Clay, I would kick back in a nice leather recliner, put my feet up on a big mahogany desk, light up a stogie, have a sip of bourbon, and go, I told you.
I told you.
I told you.
What did I
Indeed.
tell
What
you?
were you thinking?
Yeah. Didn't I tell you?
So
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. Mm-hmm. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
That's Lacey Clay right
That's
now.
pretty much, yeah. So here's my question. St. Louis area or Missouri Democrats in general, because Missourians, you have two people in office above the state level.
Yeah.
Two.
That's
You've
it.
got Emanuel Cleaver in Kansas City, and you got Cori Bush in St. Louis. That's it. That's all
Mhm.
you've got.
Mhm.
So St. Louis area and Missouri Democrats, your move.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about this? There is no way that all of you are okay with her unhinged ranting. There's no way.
No.
Now, I do think there's probably more who are okay with it than than I think I would ever understand. But what are you going to – it's your move now, and you have a viable opponent for her in the primary.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on, man. I would much rather have a normal, respectable liberal with whom I disagree with on every issue possible. I would much rather have that person as an opponent than basically an unhinged lunatic dummy.
Yeah.
You know, Paul on Facebook says the closer we get to the next election with Bell, the louder Corey's going to get.
Yeah, he's probably right.
Wow.
And the better it is for Wesley.
Yes.
When that happens. You know, here's the thing is that if the Democrats looked at the long-term strategy on this locally, they've got to understand the Republicans around the country want Cori Bush in office.
Yes.
They want Cori Bush there in a district that's likely to stay Democratic from now until the end of time. They want Rashida Tlaib in office. They want her to beat Wesley Bell because it adds fuel to the fire and adds fundraising for Republicans all over the country.
It is so easy to make ads and to simply
Yep.
just quote her and say, we have to stop this, send us money.
Right.
That's easy.
And it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
It works. Cori Bush helps elect Republicans around the country.
Yeah.
So Democrats in the St. Louis area, and my loyalty is not to the Republican Party.
Right.
It is not to Republicans around the country. I'm more worried about what happens in this region right here, and Cori Bush is hurting the St. Louis region.
Yes.
So Democrats, it's your move in the St. Louis area. If you see the long-term strategy of getting rid of her, you still get a Democrat vote. You still get a left-winger. You still get a liberal in Wesley.
He agrees with you on pretty much everything.
Yeah, but you won't have somebody who will embarrass this area much longer. So your move, Democrats, your move. All right, just ahead, got another update on something happening in St. Louis City. Talk about the dysfunction in left-wing governments. There is a big change being made to the Homeless Bill of Rights effort. We'll talk about that just ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
Many are calling for a humanitarian pause in the Hamas war, or at least a ceasefire. Who's asking Hamas to surrender?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Bring your family to the 4th annual Moolah Festival of Trees to experience a winter wonderland with over 40 exquisitely decorated Christmas trees with amazing gift packages November 19th through 26th at the Moolah Shrine. Purchase raffle tickets for just $1 for a chance to take home one or more of these creative and beautifully designed trees, including the gifts, which include toys, tools, sports items, kayaks, barbecue pits, gift cards, and even a complete HVAC system for your home. Tree values range from $500 to over $12,000. The Festival of Trees is an exciting Christmas event for all ages. You can take a souvenir photo with Santa Claus to capture a memory of the spirit of Christmas. And be sure to visit Santa's Cafe for some refreshing treats. Adult admission is $2. Kids 12 and under are free at the Moolah Shrine Center at 12545 Fifi Road. Details at moolah.org.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege. Alan Dershowitz, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Hey, I know how to talk Brooklyn Italian. I grew up with Brooklyn Italians. All of my friends grew up in Sicily. We know what to say.
Let me give you a word and see how you say it, okay? Some people would say mozzarella. How would you say that?
I never had it. It wasn't kosher.
Okay.
So forget about it.
Wow, this is great.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Little trivia question about this song here, Stel. This was the first bump music ever played on Mike Ferguson in the morning. This was the first bump music locally played on News Talk STL.
How about that?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I remembered coming in that first show, and I'm like, I'm going to pay special attention because I didn't know what the bump music was going to be. Ken Williams had that lined up back then, and this was the first song that was played.
So that was your memory from back then, and now here we are, T-minus 3 days from moving out of this studio.
That's right. We are leaving downtown St. Louis. All right.
1% raise for everybody.
Yeah.
And the business itself.
And the business itself
that helps
gains another
all
1%.
of us.
Exactly. All right. We'll get to this in just a couple of minutes here, but pooping on the street will remain illegal in St. Louis, at least for now.
Good morning.
You know what's sad? That we had to declare that.
Yeah, I had to let you know that's the update.
You know, it's like, shouldn't it be obvious that pooping on the street is illegal?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be obvious that it should stay illegal?
Try that in Chesterfield, people. You ain't getting away with it.
No. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
and pick up after your dog while you're at it.
Yeah, really. All right, it is Presidential Debate Day now at 7:35. Let me know. I want to know what you're hoping to see and hear from the candidates. Matter of fact, if you're streaming us on social media, watching us or listening to us, let me know in the comments. Gabe and Stella are watching Twitter and Facebook. I'm watching Rumble. What are you hoping or what are you expecting to see and hear from these candidates tonight? And, of course, we'd love to have you join us at the debate watch party at Westport Playhouse tonight. Doors open at 6. I'm going to be there. Gabe's going to be there. Our friends from Americans for Prosperity going to be there. The St. Louis County Young Republicans are part of the hosting. So it doesn't matter where you're from. We'd love to have you. More information at newstalkstl.com. It is free, but you need to get on the list, and so that's the way to do it. Guys, here, I've got a quick note. People Magazine just sent us a note here.
People Magazine?
Yeah, for us.
Oh, okay.
Because, they've got big announcements this time of year. So real quick here, I don't know why they sent it to me just for us here in the studio here, but here's an announcement.
Okay.
Not you.
Oh, the thing said sexiest man in the world 2023, and then it was not us.
Okay. Yeah. I missed it by that much.
Turns out it's Patrick Dempsey.
Oh, Dr. McDreamy.
Sure.
I think he was an actor on was it ER? It was one of those doctor shows.
Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, one of those doctor shows that all the ladies loved. Yeah. And he got the nickname Dr. McDreamy. So apparently, and I saw this trending on Twitter at some point, hashtag Dr. McDreamy or something like that. That he never got it before, which all the ladies found weird.
He's 57.
That's another thing that's weird.
Yeah. And so there's still hope.
There's still hope. Yeah, I can get there.
There you go. So, anyway. Okay, quick note. The Homeless Bill of Rights bill in St. Louis, the sponsor, Alicia Saunier, has pulled that. So they were supposed to have a hearing on it, and she just said, I'm pulling it back. I'm just taking it out of circulation, canceling that bill, basically. Okay. So she says, we need to get more feedback on this. You think?
After the embarrassment of everybody labeling it the street poop bill, basically.
Because you remember when that happened, because I saw a bunch of people who were commenting on that, and I'm like, no, that can't.
That can't be true.
So I went to the city's website and did something a little different. I read the bill.
will.
I do stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, no, that specifically is going out of their way to say it is legal for homeless people to take a crap on the wherever.
Literally what it says.
It's truly what it said. It is discriminatory because I couldn't do it because I'm not homeless.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, the logistics of it. It's like, well, if I declare that I'm homeless,
that's right.
does that absolve me from the ticket?
I identify as homeless.
Today, I identify as homeless. Right now.
So it's not even so much the homeless Bill of Rights thing that I find fascinating with St. Louis city government or another like extreme leftists. It's like at some point you are so fringy and your ideas are so fringy that even the far left, even those in the fringe, at some point say, okay, hold on. Whoa. Step back.
Slow your roll.
We can't, we gotta hold up here a little bit. And so now they've got to find a way to not really save face, because the way that she's done it is smart.
Sure.
She has said, okay, we got to get more feedback. We got to get more input. This just as it stands right now, this isn't going to work. I actually respect that.
Sure.
They do have to deal with the homeless issue.
Yeah.
But coming out of the gates and saying the way we're going to deal this is by declaring a Bill of Rights for the homeless people, which basically when you do something like that, what you're saying is here is where government cannot go and here's where they get to go no matter what.
Right.
Okay. That's the wrong approach. And so at least they saw that. Now, I don't know if they saw that as the wrong approach or if they said even our far left constituency said, hey, stop. Where I think the big problem, I don't even think the taking a dump on the public right-of-ways was the biggest killer for this issue. I think it was when they said, we are going to do away with the neighborhoods having a say in where a homeless shelter could go. Because in theory, what could happen was, okay, that 8-plex apartment complex that's been there that was built in 1960, 70, whatever, it's been, it went out of business. It's just been around for a while. You know what? That's a great place for a homeless shelter.
Right.
And the neighborhood all around it's going,
no, please don't.
That's what people were worried about.
Yeah.
Obviously, the public safety issue as well, because, I remember many times walking to Cardinals games from the studio here. A daytime game, midday game, I'd do my show, do a little post-production, walk down to the stadium, catch a game, walk back. When you go past the Enterprise Center on, is that Tucker or Clark?
I believe that's Clark.
That's Clark, yeah. So I'm walking on Clark from Union Station to the stadium. And you walk by trash that is clearly associated with homeless and with, others who are, for instance, drug users and all this kind of stuff. But you walk past, I have seen some really nasty stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that I am not going to describe on the air. Yeah. But I've also seen stuff, that I can describe. I've seen the drug paraphernalia.
Sure.
I've seen the messes, shall we? I've seen that stuff. And so the idea that, what we need to do is we need to coddle the people who are doing this to make sure that they don't get in more trouble.
Right.
That's the wrong messaging at the very least.
Just a little bit on the wrong side of
So the better way to do it is to say, listen, we want to respect people's rights, especially those who are in terrible situations, because nobody wants to be homeless.
Right.
But instead of saying it's going to be us versus them and we're picking this group as an us versus them, to say, listen, we've got to incorporate everybody into a solution and respect everybody's rights and everybody's freedom. And we also need to make sure that we're protecting a free market and economic development. They didn't do all of that. They just basically came out of the gates saying you don't get to have a say in where we put a homeless shelter. And by the way, they can drop trow anywhere they want if they're homeless.
Oh man!
And that's what made the headlines.
It was such a weird flex, and I never understood it. So I'm glad they took the hint. and decided to pull it and kind of retool it. But I have no hope that they're going to retool it in the right direction.
Right. I suspect that whatever the next version is going to be more thoughtful. I'm sure that given our differences in philosophy or in ideology, we're going to disagree with it, but at least it's going to be more thoughtful. So I'm hoping that somebody will actually come on the show and talk to us about it. So, all right, just ahead here. It is a debate night. Let's also kind of review what's happened with a lot of these elections around the country. And also, let's look ahead to the 2024 Missouri legislative session. Our friends from Americans for Prosperity, Camelia Peterson, going to be with us here for the next half hour. She's been all over the state. We'll get an update on that just ahead. Right now, how about some commentary from one Mr. Larry Connors?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
temporary breakup with the fall season continues for just one more day. I'm forecasting a record-breaking 83 this afternoon, mostly sunny and breezy. But then a cold front moves through this evening, brings temperatures back down to earth. Just a low chance of a few showers along that front this evening. Really not much rain here. We're going to wake up around 50 degrees on Thursday and then bounce back to a much more typical high of only 60 tomorrow afternoon. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Car and Driver magazine says the 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser is cool and affordable. 2024 Toyotas are showing up every day ready for immediate delivery at Ackerman. In fact, Toyota has awarded Ackerman more vehicles than all competitors. Check it out yourself at Ackerman Toyota, Hampton and Interstate 44, or online, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota will get you the best deal. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Two sports stories dealing with freedom of speech and discrimination. First, the sports story, a Democrat donor going to the Eagles-Cowboys game. He draped an American-Israeli flag over the ledge of his suite. And then he says, I was forcibly removed and assaulted because I hung an American-Israeli flag off my box. He said, stadium officials said, you can't use signs, banners, things that might be obscene or indecent. So there's nothing obscene or indecent. Said, I watched the Eagles NFL make clear and strong statements in numerous civil justice issues and even support Ukraine, and I can't do this. And then we have the story of discrimination. It's not what you think when I tell you it's NASCAR. It's not what you think. NASCAR has had requirements that if you're going to be in the pit crew or the driver programs, you cannot be white. You had to be a member of one of the racial ethnic minority groups. Otherwise, whites are not included. And somebody now saying NASCAR shouldn't be picking drivers based on race and sex, but ability to drive. Oh, common sense comes into play. Well, by the way, I'm going to be discriminatory. If you want to be the permanent host of Larry Connors USA, you must be the Larry Connors. There. Don't like it? Sue me.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
This is Christina Straight with Straight Realty reminding you why pay more than $4. In 2003, we had a dream to start a real estate company that would revolutionize the real estate market. Now, 20 years later, after navigating through the many market's ups and downs, we know exactly how to help you in this challenging time. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Don't give away your hard-earned equity. Give us a call today, 314-441-4444, 314-441-all-4s. And remember, why pay more than $4?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri. As you know, my friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Now Mike has done it again with his My Slippers, and the folks at My Pillow are having an early Christmas slipper sale. The original My Slippers regular price is $139.98, but for a very limited time, they're offering these slippers for just $39.98. They come in a variety of sizes and colors. Use a promo code ONFIRE at MyPillow.com or call 1-800-645-1392. The My Slippers are designed to be worn indoor and out. They are made with My Pillow foam and impact gel to help prevent fatigue. Plus, they feature quality suede leather. Unlock this special offer and other savings by using the promo code ONFIRE at MyPillow.com. Once again, that number is 800-645-1392, 800-645-1392, or you can go to MyPillow.com, use a promo code ONFIRE, and get your special discount today.
This is what's happening.
Israel and Palestinians equally deserve to live in safety, dignity, and peace.
The number one threat is Hezbollah.
The border's wide open. 101.9 and 94.1.
We're going to pay for Biden's border failures for a long time.
News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then. Okay, elections yesterday, debate tonight. Why does this all matter? We're going to get into that here in just a moment. By the way, News Talk STL, we've got a streaming app. It is free. It takes very, very little memory. Put it on your smartphone. I'm supposed to ask nicely and talk you into put it on your smartphone, people.
Because it runs on all cylinders.
That's right.
Do it
now.
Just check that out. Whatever app store you're on, it's really easy. Bluetooth it into your phone or your car. It's really easy. All right, we're going to get into kind of some takeaways from the elections around the country. What that means maybe to the more of the free market and conservative movements. Can definitely preview today's GOP debate as well. Got Camelia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity in the studio with us.
Right here.
Good to have you back.
Hey.
Because you have been all over the place.
I have.
I texted her. Well, you texted me because I was supposed to follow up and I forgot to. And then she texted me. She's like, "Hey, still with me in the studio?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." I'm like, "Oh, yeah." I didn't respond. I said, "Hey, what time you want to come in?" And you're like, "Hey, I'm driving back from Springfield. Let me do 7:30." Because I'm like, "How about 6:30?" And she's like, "How about no?"
I'll take the later slot.
Yeah, please. Yes, please.
Wait a minute. You were in Springfield?
Yes.
Oh, I should have asked you to bring back a pie from Village Inn.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, no, wait.
No,
if you
there's
need
a better-
pie, I will make you a
Oh,
Even better.
yes.
That's awesome.
We love that here.
Oh, man. There's. By the way, did you hear that big announcement we just got from People magazine? They sent us. They sent me a thing and they said, "Hey, Mike, we've got an announcement about the sexiest man in the world for 2023."
Oh.
Here's what they sent me.
Not you.
No.
Womp womp.
Yeah. My wife said I got at least one vote, though.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
It wasn't
the
her
only
but,
vote that
yeah.
matters.
It wasn't her, but
Oh.
no,
I was gonna say
I'm kidding.
My wife told
Yes,
me
it
I
was
didn't
her.
get any votes.
It was her.
No write-in votes?
No write-ins.
No.
Nothing.
Okay, let's first. I want to get to the debate watch party tonight because I was thinking about this last night, Camelia, and regardless of which way this debate goes, because we don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
No.
Either way, this is going to be a lot of fun tonight.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
because we're all going to be there first of all.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That might be the most fun part about it. But no, I think the debate will be a little more interesting, different dynamic. The field is narrowing. Only 5 people on stage, so yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and whether or not they have learned their lessons.
Yes.
Which one of the problems with these campaigns is that they hire people like me to do communications. And I say people like me, people who make their living in communications and who I've been a communications director, and I like to think I was a little different of a communications director. But what they do is they get these people who say, "You've got to say these words. You've got to get that soundbite. We got to make this go viral," instead of saying you need to engage the voters and show why. I mean, and so their new school sucks. The old school is smarter, but all these 20 and 30 something communications consultants don't really see it that way.
Right, and I think there is a disconnect between what the average American is talking about and what they're talking about on the debate stage.
Absolutely. Now, we do know that in addition to obviously Israel and Hamas and all of that, that's going to be a big part of it as well. But there's going to be something brought up about the elections last night around the country.
Yes. Wow. This is like, I mean, we had the red wave that wasn't in 22, and then we had last night. I think that was a real blow. And boy, I sure hope if nothing else, we are all doing some introspection because we're not doing something right.
Yeah.
So-
Yes. Yeah. That's absolutely true. I'm not one of those who's convinced that what happens in one state speaks for the rest of the country.
Right.
However, look at the last few election cycles, and the trends are not what we want. So I think that's a great word, introspection. We need to be doing that.
So what do you think we are doing wrong? Because it's obviously something. So we're doing something wrong. Is it our messaging? Is it our ground game? I think in a lot of ways it's our ground game. It's just not where it needs to be.
I think it's both.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's both. On the right, we've kind of gotten this. We always feel like it always feels like we're behind the ball culturally when it comes to arts and utilizing new technologies and all of those kind of things. And I think that it is essential that we get on the ball with those things because the left is outdoing us, left and right.
Yeah.
with that. But I mean, it is also messaging because the right kind of has this reputation as being cold-hearted and uncaring. And we're not. I mean, that's totally false, but I think it is in the marketing. It's in the messaging. When there are lots of people who are doing great things out there, but they also don't go and they don't advertise it to everybody. So I think we need to do a lot better. And also, we are a very divided country. And if we don't start talking to our friends and neighbors and changing hearts and minds and having actual conversations with people, that's not going to change.
Now, do you think that basically, at least in my mind, it makes us have to actually adopt some areas where the left kind of thrives, and we've poo-pooed for a long time
Yes.
in having community organizers.
Oh, I was just getting ready to say that. I was like, community organizer has been a dirty word in politics ever since the Obama campaign.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
But that it was successful. Yep. And when AFP talks about how we go out and mobilize people in the community, honestly, we look at the data that came out of the Obama campaign and the way that they did things, and because there's a lot of validity to the effectiveness of their method, and it was organizing at the local level in neighborhoods, and it was connecting people. It was that snowflake model, and we've got to be a lot better about that.
Yeah, I was working on Bob Barr's campaign back in 2008.
Yep.
So I was, granted it wasn't one that had a chance of winning, but I was working on one of the presidential campaigns back then. We kind of saw, not really super up close, but somewhat up close what that operation did, and it was way ahead of its time. I mean, way ahead of its time. But to your point also, Camelia, is, a lot of times we in the freedom movement, whether you want to take the conservative route. We still need to beat back the big government push in the conservative route, which is happening. But the libertarian, the free markets, whatever stripe of the freedom movement that you're in, we can't sit back and say, we're right, they're wrong. How dare you question me? Just vote the way I tell you to, or else you're a bad person.
Right.
Yeah, and that seems to be the prevailing attitude anymore. So, I don't think it's working.
Well, clearly it's not. I mean, and not even just last night. I mean, you look at what happened in Ohio with the abortion vote, which one should be a signal to the Missouri legislature.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You better deal with the initiative petition reform situation. But you look at what happened in Virginia. Glenn Youngkin, I do believe, is still a rising star in the conservative movement. But his job, he just got throttled back a lot last night. And he was on the side that resonates with voters throughout the country, and yet he lost ground in his own House of Delegates last night. And when I say resonates with, I'm talking about, the perversion in the public schools, the exclusion of school choice. I'm talking about the issues that drove him and Winsome Sears into prominence.
Right. And, we talked about doing some introspection, and it will be interesting to me, given last night, how much voters step back when they are looking at the presidential race and whether or not this affects how they look at that. I will say I saw something interesting last night, and that they said a CNN exit polling out of Ohio said that about a quarter of voters say that they think Biden should be running for president again. Donald Trump edged out that slightly, with only about a third thinking that he should be running to retake the White House. Those are not convincing numbers for either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the vast majority of people, I don't think the majority at all of people want either of them, to be honest. But I think there are a lot of people on the right who feel like they have no choice. So we are at an interesting crossroads, I think.
Yeah. Now, the responding to that in a poll and actually changing your vote are two different things.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, as well. And that brings us up to, and let's tease this because I know we have to do an information segment, but the debate tonight. This is more important than what I think a lot of people realize. Now, even if you've looked at the candidates and you say Donald Trump's my guy, okay, he's not going to be at the debate tonight, but this is still an important part of the conversation that everybody should be listening to, because a lot of what's happening here is driving the actual policy talk. Because with Donald Trump, I mean, let's be honest, it's so much more about his legal battles, more so than it is about policy stuff. Now, 6 or 8 months ago, it was about the policy and the politics, but because of Donald Trump's legal issues and the attacks on him and all this kind of stuff, that's where it is with Donald Trump. These other candidates are going to be talking about policy, politics, campaign messaging, winning, losing, all of these things that aren't necessarily getting covered in a lot of the mainstream media.
For sure. And it is unfortunate that former President Trump will not join the debates, because
I agree.
I would really like to hear him talk about policy issues, because he did have some good policy issues. And it just is, I think, I know he doesn't feel like he needs to, but I think in a lot of ways it's a missed opportunity. And I really think that would show real strength on his part.
I completely agree. And for those who are, diehard Donald Trump supporters who say, no, he doesn't need to be there, this is a waste of his time. Listen, his debate performances are one of the things that you say, see, that's why you should vote for him. And so I agree. I think it's a missed opportunity. I also think it's a disservice to the Republican voters and caucus goers as well. I get the strategy that he's laying out, but I think that the others are willing to be challenged by their opponents. They're willing to stand by what they're saying, and I think that he should too. Now, he's not going to be there, so we got an information segment. Let's talk about what to expect from the others, what we hope to see, the direction we hope that it will go, and what happens if it goes off the rails again.
Yeah. Then we do shots. Is that what the
there will be a cash bar.
Yeah.
There will be a cash bar, and I'm bringing cash.
How poor are you going to be after tomorrow night?
The one thing, Camila, we should probably not do okay, let's do a contest. I don't want to.
No, I have already ruled out the drinking games because nobody's going to walk out if we do that.
No, we're gonna have to hold everybody for a couple hours. It's okay, guys, rest.
All right, Camellia Peterson, Americans for Prosperity, Missouri chapter. Real quick, because I know you're sticking around, but the website, the social media, where do people connect with you all?
Yep, AFP Missouri on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and they can find the link to sign up there and also on the News Talk STL website.
Which we will do again here in a few minutes on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. We have an exciting new training opportunity available for public school and Christian school teachers. The Herzog Foundation Institute has partnered with the Bill of Rights Institute to offer 4 training events in 4 Missouri cities this year. These day-long professional development opportunities are best suited for middle and high school civics, government, U.S. history, and social studies teachers. Middle and high school teachers have a unique opportunity to strengthen civic knowledge and values for the next generation. We want to help teachers seize this opportunity.
Visit herzogfoundation.com/events to learn more and register for a Bill of Rights Institute training event near you. herzogfoundation.com/events. herzogfoundation.com/events.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Hello, I am State Treasurer Vivek Malik. There is a program in my office that allows you to save for your loved one's education. The Most 529 program helps families save for K-12, college, trade or technical schools. Contributions to most 529 accounts grow tax-free and are eligible for a state tax deduction of up to $16,000. Celebrate this holiday season by giving to your child's education. Learn more at MissouriMost.org.
Sponsored by the Missouri State Treasurer's Office.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, I want to get into this in a minute. I want to talk about tonight's debate here, but also Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity in the studio with us. You're gearing up for the 2024 legislative session as well.
Good morning. Yes. For sure. That it's hard to remember that's coming up quick too.
Yeah. And we can't wait on that. We don't want to be behind the 8 ball on that. So we'll get into that at 8:05. We're going to talk about this Rashida Tlaib censure.
Oh yeah.
Susie Moore from ResDay.com going to be with us. She's covering this. Oh my goodness. Have you heard that rant from Cori Bush?
I have heard bits and pieces. Yes. Crazy.
It's something.
Oh my goodness.
It's something.
choice.
That's choice.
There's a chance that gets played again at 8:05. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
All right. So tonight the debate watch party. I want to start there, and then I want to try to get to the upcoming legislative session and elections in Missouri as well. When you look at the debate watch party tonight, there's so much of the personal drama, and people are forgetting. Listen, we are a long, long way from the next elections, presidential elections in 2024. We're actually a long way from most of the primaries and the caucuses,
right,
as well. So there's still a lot to be decided on this. What do you want to see and hear from these candidates tonight, Camelia?
I want to hear them talk about economic issues. Now, obviously, they're going to be talking about foreign policy, which I think is really important because one of the things, when we talk to people at the doors and on the phones also, we say, what's your number one issue? And you've heard me say it before, it's the economy. And the thing is, but right along with that, when they're talking about that, they're also saying things like, we need to stop sending money to Ukraine. We need to stop sending money to places all over the world. So to me, this is one of the interesting things I think that I'm curious to hear on the debate stage tonight is because with Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, that's been something that's kind of separated them in their approach to, funding. And so they may be a little more aligned when it comes to Israel, but Ukraine has kind of taken a back seat, although, Nikki Haley's still been pushing for that along with the Israel funding. So I think it'll be interesting what comes out of the discussion on that as well.
Yeah, I think Vivek Ramaswamy may be the only one who's different than the others on Israel.
Yeah, significantly.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Now, bringing it home, we're looking at the upcoming Mo legislative session. And has any of the election results that we saw sort of around the country informed us on what may take priority in MoLeg coming up here?
Well, I think we will. I don't know if it'll affect what they do in the legislature, but obviously abortion will be a huge issue in the conversation. And I would imagine that there will be legislators who will attempt to do something related to that, I'm sure. But we're also, education is something that we've been beating the drum on, and we've seen the states all around us doing all of these good things. And it was a blow in Virginia, to see that flipped after Governor Youngkin has done so many things along with Winsome Sears. And it is, but I do think that they got education there passed in a very bipartisan way. And so I think that that's important. And that's something that we are still going to be pushing huge because, again, when we're talking about a divided country and what's going to make a difference in the future and making strides, boy, educating, how our kids are educated is so incredibly important.
And the thing is that the school choice and educational freedom, the whole education policy is not, people don't realize this, it's not as red versus blue. It's not R versus D. It oftentimes tends to be urban versus rural.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and that's definitely the case here in Missouri. I had a great conversation with Jamila Nasheed here a while back, former state senator, and she has a great story about her experience in the public school system was not good, but that it is part of why she is so on board with education reform. And there's a coalition of parents in the city right now who are pushing back against the school board and saying our kids are not reading and they're not up to speed on math, not by a long shot. And so there is momentum building at the local level, and I think we really need to capitalize on that.
Okay, let's talk about the other priorities for the legislative session, and you all are on this now.
Yes.
And we have to do it that way. We just have to because, we know that the establishment, the special interest, they've already got their game plan. So when we look at economic freedom, we look at, bringing jobs in, we look at the prosperity of the state, what are the top couple of things you want to see the legislature do or change or stop doing?
Right. Well, when it comes to economic issues, there are two big things we could do. First of all, we could keep knocking down the income tax to zero. I know it'll take us a while to get there, but to zero. The other thing we can do is we can open up the health care market in Missouri by getting rid of certificate of need restrictions. So I think those are a couple of the big things that we can do.
Yeah, certificate of need is one that I think a lot of people are like, oh, that's really wonky. That's too complicated. You read some basics, you go, oh, that makes sense.
Oh, I know, right?
I remember the first time I learned about this, I was working at the Show Me Institute, and I was like, how is this not something that's a no-brainer to do, to get rid of the certificate of need? on that. And you guys, do you have anything on your website about that as far as COS or CON? Or you can just go to Show Me Institute.
There are
They've got
things
lots of
actually
stuff.
on
Yeah.
the main website as well, because states, AFP has been working on this issue in lots of states. North Carolina just got it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And North Carolina is far more purple than Missouri.
Right.
So what are the best things that we normies can do? You know, those of us who don't tend to be part of a think tank or don't go to a lot of these organizational things, because there are a lot of listeners out there who really, they're on board with everything that we're talking about, but it's not them to come to these things. And I mean, they might donate here or there. What can they do to really help spur Missouri on towards these goals?
So I think not only talking to your neighbors and your friends, but as far as that knowledge sharing, you know, but I think it's also getting to know your legislators so that they know where you stand on issues, and not just like a forum email or something like that. Write them a letter, send them a note. But you know what? There's some good news from last night that I forgot to tell you guys about. It's kind of switching back a little bit.
Oh, good news, yeah.
Good news.
Okay.
So in Missouri, because we also work on the tax issues, in Jackson County, so right in Kansas City, some activists had come to us just a week ago and had said they're putting a use tax on the ballot.
Right.
And would you guys help us? So we came in, helped them mobilize and organize, started doing some digital ads for them, things like that. And it went down.
Wow.
And so remember, we just did this last April in Chesterfield too. So like, we'll take those wins. That's, that's what we like to see, because that's what gets that momentum going with people, is feeling that victory.
Yes. Kill the taxes.
Oh, no question.
See them driven before you and hear the lamentations.
Yeah.
of the
Now you're also
women.
obviously going to be vetting candidates as well. Last time you were on the show, and I'm going to shortchange on time. You mentioned that one of the things you're looking at, in addition to being correct on the issues in governance, is basically the ability to do so the right way. Kind of a civil way and that kind of stuff.
Right.
That actually got a little bit of static. We're like, no, don't compromise anything. You don't have to compromise any principles in order to govern effectively.
Sure, and I think that's something that's unfortunate, is that statesmanship has come to sort of be equated with weakness. And absolutely not. I mean, you can absolutely stand firm on your principles, and, it doesn't mean that you can't speak strongly. It just means that you don't need to attack people in personal and petty ways.
Yeah, because it can be destructive to what we're trying to accomplish.
Exactly.
All right, tonight, you're going to be there.
Yes.
Gabe's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We're going to have a great time. NewsTalkSTL.com's got the link to get your spot at tonight's debate watch party. So I'll see you again here in, 8 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah, we'll see you guys at 6 o'clock.
Yes. Thanks, Camelia. All right, Susie Moore from Red State just ahead. Let's talk about this Rashida Tlaib censure. Good stuff.
Hey, Columbo here with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Columbo special when you book a cleaning in November, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res because they're simply the best when it comes to cleaning any surface in your home, and they stand behind every cleaning with their gotta love it guarantee. Just remember to mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. 5 Republican presidential candidates return to the debate stage tonight in Florida.
It'll be the smallest debate stage so far following Mike Pence's exit from the campaign trail and Doug Burgum's failure to qualify. Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, who are tied for second place in Iowa, will be joined by Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, and Tim Scott. Donald Trump, who continues to hold a commanding lead, is skipping the debate and will hold a rally here in South Florida. Tonight's debate can be seen on NBC and heard on the Salem Radio Network. Greg Clugston, Miami.
The Republican-led House advanced a resolution last night to censure Representative Rashida Tlaib, teeing up a final vote today that will penalize a Michigan Democrat for her criticism of Israel following Hamas's terrorist attack on October 7th. The final vote on that resolution, sponsored by GOP Representative Rich McCormick of Georgia, is expected for today. Democratic Governor Andy Beshear has won re-election to a second term in Kentucky. He says that sends a message
that a candidate should show vision and not sow division. And a clear statement that anger politics should end right here and right now.
Beshear defeating Republican Attorney General Daniel Cameron. A word of advice from the International Monetary Fund to bank officials all across Europe. Here's Jeremy House.
The IMF says the European Central Bank and other policymakers need to keep interest rates at current elevated levels until they're sure inflation is under control, despite sluggish growth. The Washington-based IMF says the cost of underestimating inflation's persistence could be painfully high. It adds the cost could result in another painful round of rate hikes that could rob the economy of a large portion of growth.
That is correspondent Jeremy House reporting. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt, I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you call Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our temporary breakup with the fall season continues for just one more day. I'm forecasting a record-breaking 83 this afternoon, mostly sunny and breezy. But then a cold front moves through this evening, brings temperatures back down to earth. Just a low chance of a few showers along that front this evening. Really not much rain here. We're going to wake up around 50 degrees on Thursday and then bounce back to a much more typical high of only 60 tomorrow afternoon. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hundreds of homeowners and businesses had or will have water main breaks. Wellington Environmental has a warning. You can clean up the water, but if you're not checking areas where the water leaked in the walls where you can't see it, you could end up exposing your family, your employees, your clients to hazardous mold. Wellington Environmental reminds you, if that mold is not detected, properly treated, removed, that is a risk, a liability you do not want. Wellington clients, including hospitals and schools, trust Wellington to make their environments safe. Call 314-644-4930, 644-4930. AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau, 314-644-4930. Wellington Environmental, your world, cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up. Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, a censorship, not censorship as in you're not allowed to say that, but censored, censured, not censored, censured, happened to Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush's big man.
Yes. No. Yep.
Very upset. Very upset.
So upset.
By the way, Camellia was just chatting with us after, during that information segment about tonight's event. I can tell you this is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun.
No matter what happens in this debate, it is going to be a lot fun. Now,
Yep.
hopefully it's fun and we get a great debate to watch.
Right.
But if the debate goes more like the second debate as opposed to the first
If it
debate,
goes south,
we're
yeah.
still going to have fun.
We're gonna make it work.
So go to newstalkstl.com. She did tell us that there is still some room at the event tonight. So it's free, but get your ticket so we can make sure that we got enough food, and want to thank Americans for Prosperity for coming on out and helping us with this event and partnering with us along with the St. Louis County Young Republicans as well. Okay, so that debate watch party starting at 6, doors open, Westport Plaza. We'll get started with kind of a pregame at 6:30. The debate obviously will start around 7 o'clock, and you can hear that debate on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, and you can watch our live stream coverage on our social media plans as well. All right, so as I have mentioned over the course of the morning, this happened yesterday in the House of Representatives.
On this vote, the yeas are 234 and the nays are 188, with 4 answering present. The resolution is adopted.
Joined now by RedState.com's Susie Moore, and that resolution was to censure Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and this was the second attempt. The first one didn't make it. This one went through. What put her over the edge to kind of get that rebuke from the House of Representatives?
Well, good morning. I think what got her over the edge was her promoting the video last Friday that included From the River to the Sea in it. And not in any way owning that, other than saying, oh, no, that's an aspirational thing.
Which makes it even worse, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to insult you. I'm going to say something horrible, and then I'm going to insult your intelligence by pretending like it doesn't mean what it absolutely means.
Good morning, Susie. Gabe here. I think we've all kind of been having fun with Cori Bush's unhinged rant,
and we're going to do it again in a couple minutes.
We're going to do it again. This is standard for her, right? What effect do you think that has on anybody? Are the Democrats shaking their heads at this? Are they cheering her on? And is there anything to be made of that outside of the fun that we're having with it?
Yeah, I was going to say the effect it has on people that are critics of her is to make them laugh, but. People that are in lockstep with her and support her are going to just think it's great and not acknowledge the silliness of it. Where it might have an impact is because she is facing a credible challenger next year in Wesley Bell. People who are in her district who are not particularly fond of her to begin with and are open to another option are going to be more likely to go with the sane, competent option over her.
Well, yeah, and let me jump in on that, because that's a great point, because I know that not all, even hard leftists, are going to cheer on this kind of incendiary, just wild crank weirdo stuff that she's saying. But the Democrats don't lose a left-wing vote if they bring in Wesley Bell. They get basically the same votes. They just have less embarrassment. What's your sense of how well that strategy might be resonating with voters?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, it's early. He only made the announcement a little over a week ago. And obviously, I'm not sitting there having in-depth, discussions or polling people that are voting in that district. But I will say this, Wesley Bell was present at the St. Louis or STL for Israel rally on Sunday. The crowd there, when Cori Bush's name was brought up, was not happy with her and expressed that very clearly. And I think that they will have taken notice of it. And so there are a fair amount of Jewish constituents. There are a fair amount of more moderate Democrats that vote in the first congressional district, who I think are going to more and more find themselves leaning towards Wesley Bell. It won't surprise me at all if he is successful in the primary, because it's exactly what you said, Mike. It's not like the people that normally vote Democrat are losing a Democratic vote by doing that. They're just voting for somebody who's probably going to represent their interests quite a bit better.
Susie, what do you make of this off-year election results that we're seeing coming around the country? I mean, we had I think a problematic flip of an entire legislature under Youngkin, and the rise of that abortion rights amendment in Ohio. Lots of things kind of not going so good for us. It looks like.
Yeah, I think it's a function of a couple of things. In Virginia, the Democrats already had the Senate. They just held on to it, but they did flip the House, which is unfortunate considering the fact that Glenn Youngkin was doing yeoman's work, getting out there and trying to get Republicans engaged and making sure they were voting early and taking advantage of the voting process. I think you're going to. I think it's two different things going on. There's a money issue. The Democrats outraised the Republicans in all but one of the races last night. I think Mississippi was the only one where the Republicans were on top money-wise. But I also think that the abortion issue should not be overlooked. Ever since Dobbs came down last year, that has been the one primary issue that the Democrats have won on and have won the messaging battle. And it's because every Republican candidate that is asked to speak on the issue seems to trip up like they're Todd Aiken. It's clearly an important issue. You can't ignore it, but you need to be clear about where you stand on it and what you think the government's role in it should be, what you think the legal parameters should be, and you need to be able to speak to it clearly and firmly and not stumble over yourself, which Republicans seem to do on a regular basis. And all that does is give Democrats more ammo.
Yeah, because, exit survey after exit survey says that about half of the people make that a deciding issue vote. It's one thing to feel passionately about it, but if you are even in disagreement with somebody but competent in other areas, there are some voters you may still win over if they disagree with you on that particular issue. But there is a significant amount to say that's a litmus test. One way or the other, I'm not going to vote for or against you, depending on what you think about the issue of abortion. And around the country, I completely agree that what the messaging they're trying to say is if you're pro-life, you're going to lose. And I don't think that's the case. However, when you look at some red states, I think the vote in Ohio, because that was not a close vote at all. When you look at the vote in Ohio, I think it is a wake-up call to the other states to say, I want pro-life laws. I like the fact that Missouri is pro-life, but we'd better be ready to defend them competently to the voters who matter. But that means don't be a single issue candidate, but we can't compromise our principles, but we need to be really good at defending them. And people, I think, are willing to hear us out. Well, some, not all, are willing to hear us out. But don't think for a minute that in a red state that you couldn't take some losses over this issue if you do it wrong.
So there's two aspects to that too here in Missouri. We've got to get the initiative petition reform done, so that you don't have, wonky and willy-nilly measures making their way onto the ballot that don't have clear language and end up confusing people and confusing the issue, because that's going to happen if we don't do that. But the other thing too is I don't know. It's frustrating because the messaging should be clear. I think nothing motivates people to vote more than feeling like they are being oppressed or not getting a fair shake. If you feel like you are the underdog and the only way to really overcome that is to express it with your vote, that's going to motivate you to get out and vote. And the Democrats have captured the messaging on abortion by saying, anybody who votes to restrict abortion is trying to hold women down and hold women back and oppress them. And that strikes at the heart of people, and that makes people fearful, and it makes them concerned, and they think, okay, here's how I speak out against that. Well, that's a good messaging on their part, but it's terrible messaging on the part of the Republicans. And I don't know why, after all these years, we fought so hard to get Roe v. Wade overturned, but we're like the proverbial dog that caught the car.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, now what? And we've got to do better at that. It's just ridiculous that we don't have a better messaging strategy on it, because ultimately, when you pull that issue apart and get to the heart of it, it's a winning issue, but you have to be able to express it persuasively.
I've been kind of railing against Republican electoral failures for a while now. Just the fact that we don't really have a ground game. We don't learn the lessons that we should. When people win, we don't basically try to replicate that everywhere around the country, and we just kind of stumble through our elections, hoping that people will be smart enough to understand that we have the right answer. And that makes me look ahead to 2024. We got the debates coming up. We're going to be having our event tonight. What are you expecting from the candidates in terms of what they'll be talking about in terms of electability and their ability to actually get the ground moving? I mean, we've got plenty of policy discussions to be had, but there's also that kind of overarching idea of, can Republicans win?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the elephant in the room, no pun intended. I mean, but it's on two fronts, because for the candidates who are on stage tonight, they're going to have to be able to persuade people why they are a better choice than Donald Trump, who's far and away the front runner in the polls, and then why they are more likely to be able to beat Joe Biden or whoever the Democrats swoop in to sub in for him, Gavin Newsom. But
I'm thinking the
so I think they're going to have to speak to that, and not just in platitudes. They're going to have to say, look, here's our strategy. Here's how we win. Here's how we get out and do that. And I don't know. I mean, the people that are going to be watching tonight primarily are going to be persuadable people. They're going to be people who are already inclined to vote Republican. But in terms of choosing amongst the candidates, the person with the strongest message of, here's how I'm going to win the primary, and here's how I'm going to win the general, and this is why it's important, is going to come out on top.
Hey, good morning, Susie. Stal Ponticus here. Quick question for you, because you mentioned Gavin Newsom there as you kind of moved through that comment. Do you have any thoughts about David Axelrod making his thoughts known over the weekend regarding what the Democratic Party should do?
I do. I mean, it's significant. It shouldn't be dismissed, but he's one in a long line of kind of prominent Democrats and pundits who have slowly been coming out and hinting that Joe needs to shuffle off into the sunset. And so far, Joe hasn't taken the hint. So, I mean, I think Axelrod can fairly be seen as a mouthpiece for Obama. But unless and until Obama comes out and publicly says, Joe, you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure the pressure is mounting behind the scenes, and I don't know who is in Joe's camp that's pushing back so hard other than Dr. Jill. But, I mean, the message is loud and clear. You've got critics coming out from your supporters. And on top of that, now his army of TikTok influencers is turning on him because of his stance on Israel. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's getting it from all sides, and he's either going to take the hint and finally say, all right, I've had enough, or he's going to stay till the bitter end, and we're just going to watch this circus.
Well, also keep in mind that when Axelrod said that, Matlock was on, and so Joe was busy.
He was just craving that tapioca,
and he was
listening to the record player.
And then it was nap time, so he may not have gotten that message yet. Yeah. All right, Susie doing a lot of great coverage. You want to see her coverage of the Rashida Tlaib censure? Check it out at redstate.com. This obviously isn't going to affect Rashida Tlaib being in Congress. Whether it affects the hard left and gives them a little bit of a sting to not put their crazy on display quite as much remains to be seen. A lot of people, I don't think censures have the same effect that they used to have, Susie, but it is interesting that enough Democrats said, we've had enough. We have to make a statement here. And it was a pretty bold statement.
It was, and keep in mind, there was 22 Democrats that voted to censure her. And so I think that was a clear message from them that they are not pleased with her rhetoric, and she needs to be mindful of that. And it's not shutting her up. It's telling her, look, what you said is unacceptable, and we're not going to stand for it.
Yeah. All right. And at 8:35, I'm going to play that Cori Bush unhinged rant again, just because I can. And it's been over an hour since I've heard it, and I want to do it again. So we'll do that as well. But the bigger question is,
something.
Oh yeah. If the bigger question is if you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat in the St. Louis area, it's your move. You're the one who determines this. All right, Susie Moore, redstate.com. Thanks so much for being on again. Hopefully we'll see you very, very soon. Love to see you at the event tonight, but I'm not going to put you on the spot on the air as to whether you're coming out or not. So.
Unfortunately, I'll be manning the desk here at Red State, so no such luck.
All right, Susie Moore, we'll
All
talk
right,
to you
guys,
again
have a
soon.
great evening.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
All right,
Bye-bye.
314-912-1019. That's in their move, but also the Republicans. Hey, the ball's in your court when it comes to the nomination process as well. And that debate tonight, I don't think it's make or break for most of the candidates. I think a bad debate could pretty much derail one of the candidates tonight, but we'll see how it goes. We'll talk about that and, of course, the news roundup coming your way here in just a moment on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I have only one recommendation for you when it comes to jewelry. Vincent's Jewelers. I've had Vincent's custom make some pieces for me. I've bought quality pieces right out of the case. Vincent's locally owned, supporting local charities for more than 42 years. Check their website daily for new items or specials. VincentsJewelers.com. VincentsJewelers.com. Give Vincent's a chance for your business. Vincent's, my only jeweler.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and SouthernArmory.com. That's SouthernArmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at SouthernArmory.com.
Hi, it's Todd Showalter along with my buddy Joey V from The Right Mind Show. Say hi, Joey.
No thanks.
Join us every Saturday at 5 p.m. when we put the fun in our dysfunctional world. Want to add anything, Joey?
Oh, no thank you.
Plus, exciting guest and King Kirby from DiscountCoffee.com. Take us out, Joey.
Get Jim Modulin to do it.
Putting the fun in our dysfunctional world. It's The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults.
Nothing is everything.
Skyrizi helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, Rashida Tlaib censured by our colleagues in Congress. We'll talk about that just a little bit more. Overall, Democrats had a good day at the polls around the country. What's that mean? Pundits say that sets the tone for 2024. We'll see. We'll see. But I will say the trends are going the wrong direction, not just from last night, but from 2022 and from previous election cycles as well. And I got a couple of election results for you still ahead here as well. 8:24 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. We got Gabe Pfeiffer here. We got Stel Ponticus here. Okay, get this. And this is not something that has been in a lot of the headlines. Texas authorities have arrested an illegal immigrant from Jordan, and authorities are saying he was planning an attack on a Houston Jewish community.
Oh, my gosh. Really?
Didn't hear that in the headlines, did you?
Oh, no.
No. Governor Greg Abbott, he is blaming the Biden administration and the administration's border policies for this entire risk and situation. The governor was on America Reports on Fox News last night.
Joe Biden has failed in his responsibility as commander-in-chief to make sure we secure the United States of America, and he's failed in that regard by failing to secure the border.
And so when Cori Bush goes on her rants about xenophobia and all this kind of stuff, first of all, she's intellectually dishonest. And I hesitate to use the word intellectually related to Cori Bush. But this is the kind of stuff that we've been warning about for years. You've got somebody from an antagonistic nation, and you've got somebody who came in illegally, somebody who was caught planning an attack in the United States. They just caught this one, guys.
Yeah.
There are others out there that they may know about and they're chasing, and I'm sure there are, but there are others that we don't know who they are or where they are.
You know, from my perspective, I think there's a reason for this not showing up much in mainstream media, and that is because there are huge encampments in the Houston area of illegal aliens, and we don't hear much about that. I mean, there are literally encampments that are little towns.
They're towns, yes.
That are just outside of Houston. And to have a situation like this come up, I think we're going to see this more often over the next who knows how many years.
Well, you know, though, the Biden administration did come out with their council, their task force to deal with Islamophobia, so we should be fine.
Yeah.
Right? That should take care of it.
How effing tone deaf is that?
Seriously.
Literally after one of the biggest mass murders of Jews in the world history in one day, one of the biggest mass murders of Jewish people in history, they come out and announce a task force on Islamophobia when so-called hate crimes, which is a whole other discussion and debate, against people of the Islamic faith make less than 10% of all reported hate crimes, according to the FBI crime statistic. You know what makes up about half of them? Those against Jewish people in this country.
And they are up 38% this year.
Yes, of course they are. Absolutely they are. All right, some election news here. By a 57 to 43% margin, Ohio voters enshrined abortion into their state constitution. Now, remember, that's something that left-wing activists want to do in Missouri as well. Ohio is not a left-wing state. It is more of a bellwether, purplish state, but, you do have, I would say a centrist center-right sort of voting base there. So this kind of margin is significant. Now, Ohio, like Missouri, failed to raise the bar when it comes to amending the Constitution, so 50% plus one vote in any given election is enough to change their state constitution, just like it is in Missouri right now. And don't think for a minute that 50% plus one in any election could negate all of our pro-life laws in Missouri and make Missouri like Illinois when it comes to abortion. That could happen here, which is why it is crucial that we have initiative petition reform, and that it is such a disappointment that the Republican leadership in the Missouri legislature did not push initiative petition reform through.
And for anybody who says, no, but 50% plus one, that's democracy, that's how our system works, it's 50% plus one of those who show up at the polls. Right. That's going to be barely scratching the surface of 50% of the population to begin with. I mean, we're talking that turnouts are in these off-year elections are somewhere in the 30s, isn't that right? 30% or something like that of eligible voters. So 50% plus one of 30% of the population, the eligible voter population. It's barely a blip.
And my argument, let me add on to that, Gabe, is that you look at this nation's history when it comes to a constitutional foundation. The founders of this country, so literally from day one, to amend the Constitution was never simple majority.
Right. They did not want that a Democratic issue.
No, they wanted that to be fully representative. When you look at the percentage of states that have to approve a constitutional amendment, it is far more than that. So when you deal with a state constitution, it should be more than 50% plus one. Matter of fact, even if it were just raised up to 60%,
it's probably still too low of a bar.
Yeah, but at least that means there has to be a clear mandate. And
Right.
this vote was 57 to 43.
Oh, my gosh.
And you also look at, listen, if you want to have a referendum and put a law on the books, okay, you can still do that 50%.
Sure.
Because it takes 50% plus one in the legislature to do that. And then you've also got the ability to amend it and
Mhm.
change it or negate it
Mhm.
from another check and balance. But this is the failure. This is what we're at risk of in Missouri because lawmakers chose not to make the tough decision on initiative petition reform. Other election results in Kentucky, Democratic Governor Andy Beshear won re-election. Mississippi's governor, Republican Tate Reeves, was reelected. And in Virginia, man, Democrats, they flipped the state House of Delegates. They already controlled the state Senate. So Glenn Youngkin just lost a lot of leverage.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yep.
Come on, man. Do better. Do
Yeah.
better, GOP.
You know who else needs to do better?
Who?
Blues. They lost 5-2.
Oh,
last night.
come on.
Yeah, 5-2 last night. Thursday, they got another home game against Arizona.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our temporary breakup with the fall season continues for just one more day. I'm forecasting a record-breaking 83 this afternoon, mostly sunny and breezy. But then a cold front moves through this evening, brings temperatures back down to earth. Just a low chance of a few showers along that front this evening. Really not much rain here. We're going to wake up around 50 degrees on Thursday and then bounce back to a much more typical high of only 60 tomorrow afternoon. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
1 year out from the most important election of our time, and things aren't looking good for Joe. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Why are central banks quietly amassing mountains of gold? Because they know the dollar won't last. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon, and I urge you to diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get a free info kit on gold by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. So text SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit now.
We have just under a year until the 2024 presidential election, and anything can happen. More on that later. As it stands today, Joe Biden is in trouble. His approval rating is in the mid-30s, and that's lower than any other incumbent president 1 year out since Jimmy Carter. Even a swing state poll by the New York Times shows Donald Trump beating Biden in the matchup in toss-up states like Nevada and Arizona. The Democratic Party doesn't need a magic 8-ball to see the writing on the wall. The Democrats do not want to run Joe against Trump or anyone, and that's precisely why, as I've been predicting, they won't. The clock is about to run out, so they need to act quickly, but I maintain Joe will not be their nominee, and instead it will be California Governor Gavin Newsom. The trips to Israel and China, the constitutional amendment proposals, the media tours, yeah, he's priming the pump, and the Republicans better be sitting on ready. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Hi, I'm Kimberly with John David Jewelers. We specialize in creating full custom jewelry, from carving waxes, setting stones, and full jewelry repair. If you can dream it, we can make it. All work is done on site, and everything we produce is American made. Plus, we are collecting toys for Tots. Find us in Frontenac or online at johndjewelers.com. We are in the business of making you look good.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've been thinking about the time you walked out on me.
Remember we used to play this when Kimberly Gardner got pushed out of office?
Every single time I hear this now, I think of Kim Gardner. Every time.
Do you think it's possible that this could be resurrected after the primary election if Cori Bush were to be booted out as well?
Oh, that would be nice.
That would be perfect. Yeah. Chef's kiss.
From your lips to God's ears.
Is it possible?
Oh, I would love it.
I think it's possible.
I think it's possible.
You know, we just talked to Susie Moore from redstate.com, and she pointed out Wesley Bell's a very credible opponent just based on his resume, based on his connections. He's a rising star in the Democratic Party in Missouri, which, by the way, doesn't take a lot in the state of Missouri. There aren't that many Democrats. But he's also
he's well spoken. Mm-hmm. He handles media.
Oh, Wesley handles
well.
media. Yeah, I mean, I don't know Wesley well, but I've interviewed him a number of times. I do know Wesley.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pluses on his side.
From a Democratic perspective,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also,
he's got all the liberal bona fides too.
Yes, he is a liberal. He is a leftist. And at the same time, he will be the one I think the Democratic establishment moves to. I'm talking about the party establishment.
Yes.
The fringe mobby far left thing is going to stay with Cori Bush.
Sure.
But remember when Wesley Bell beat Bob McCullough in that primary election 4 years ago, 6 years ago?
It wasn't that long.
Yeah, something like that. Remember, it was like the radical, nutty, far left people who were funding his campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they don't like him.
Right. He can fill those shoes.
Right.
Now, I think out of loyalty they'll stick with Cori because of she's one of us kind of thing. She's not just a politician who appeals to us. She's one of us. She marched with us kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that will garner a lot more sympathy from the radical fringy types. But I think the establishment could easily crush the fringe out here.
I think it is, but because the Democrats, I mean, I've mentioned it before. Listen, the ball's in your court. Republicans don't have a say in this. No. Republicans are likely going to run a credible candidate. They're going to run somebody who is, a good representative of a Republican. I mean, because I happen to know a couple of people who are thinking about getting in the race. That doesn't mean that they have much of a chance of winning the race. Let's be honest here.
Right.
Now, there's value in having a good, strong Republican campaign because of the effect it can have on others and the way to build, the network and the movement in the St. Louis City and county regional area. But when you look at what's happening in that Democratic race, local fringy types, you may say, I want the bombastic Cori Bush because she's standing up to the man and all this kind of crazy left-wing stuff that's happening right there. But understand this, St. Louis Democrats. Understand this, Missouri Democrats. And 314-912-1019, if you're one of them and you think I'm wrong about this, then challenge me on it. Let's talk about it. I'm not kidding. Is that nationally, Cori Bush helps Republicans.
She does.
In a huge, huge way. She is God's gift to Republican ads and Republican candidates all over the country.
I think there are GOP offices in a number of places where she has a picture on the wall as employee of or fundraiser of the month.
Yeah.
Because her quotes are easy fodder
right.
for a fundraising email. Like, this is what the Democrats believe. And you quote Cori Bush saying something crazy.
Yeah.
And he's like, help us stop her.
Right. And I guarantee you there are Republicans and the consultant class who are, if they were in this room right now, they would be saying, would you guys shut up? I am telling you, the Republican Party wants Cori Bush in that office. So Democrats, what's your move?
Yeah, it's true, because here's the thing. It's kind of a foregone conclusion that that's going to be a liberal vote. That's a Democrat vote. That seat, it's not going anywhere.
It was drawn that way.
It was drawn that way on purpose. Everybody knows the game. So the thing is, it's not as though we're looking to we need a better opponent in order to beat. It's just who. If we have to have a Democrat there, at least have a Democrat we could raise money off of. And that's that. I mean, it makes sense from that perspective.
Yeah, but you get into her unhinged ranting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's one thing to say something really bold, provocative, maybe even offensive that's far left. Lots of Democrats do that.
Oh,
Hakeem
gosh.
Jeffries does that.
Regular basis.
You know, Elizabeth Warren does that. I
Mhm.
mean, you know, you can go down the line, just like there are really conservative, far right, even fringy Republicans who say stuff that make people cringe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You get your tweets and clicks.
But listen to this. This is Cori Bush giving her time at the microphone, arguing against a censure of Rashida Tlaib. And remember, Rashida Tlaib literally went on social media, and in addition to a video, saying from the river to the sea, and then trying to argue that, well, that's just an aspirational claim. Well, that makes it worse.
That's the part we're talking about.
So she was literally taking up language of anti-Semitic extermination of Jewish people, and that's why she was facing a censorship. So you take that, and here's how Cori Bush somehow in her noggin, I don't want to say her mind or her brain, because I'm not sure one exists at this point, but here's how she twists this whole thing, and this is how she represents the St. Louis area.
It's outrageous that my colleagues are blatantly attempting to silence the only Palestinian American representative right here. It's outrageous, but it's not surprising. And let me tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people. It's not surprising because they thought it was right. It's not surprising because this is a place where members continue to claim that the insurrection on the Capitol just appeared to look like a normal tourist visit. It's not surprising because this is the place where our black and brown staff members repeatedly speak of experiencing racism and sexism, Islamophobia, get pushed off at elevators, xenophobia, and more right here in this workplace. This is the place. And let me say this. She mourns for the 1,400 Israelis.
gentlelady's time has expired.
She mourns for the 10,000, and she will not stop. No
gentlelady's
more.
time
No
has expired.
more. Ceasefire now. And she takes the death threats that you all send that they
The gentlelady is no longer recognized. The gentleman from Maryland.
To her, the desire to save lives is greater
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
than what I said.
So Democrats in the St. Louis area, Democrats in Missouri, you can get probably 95% of the exact same votes with Wesley Vell without that embarrassing your entire movement and your party. But if you're not embarrassed by that, I would be fascinated to hear why.
I'm guessing the gentleman from Maryland who was scheduled to follow her was thinking, no, let's take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I always wonder what the reaction by the normal Democrats in the House are to these types of tirades, right? It's like, are they holding their heads and, you know, they're like their hand on their temple, just like, oh man, just make it stop. Yeah. Or are they kind of wincing like they just hit their elbow on something? Or, you know, or are they reacting like, and here's my, I wanted to share my, my kids say the darndest thing story.
Yeah.
With everybody.
Because that's the one thing. It's like, you know, I look at what she was saying as like, your kid says or does something that they're not supposed to say in front of other people. And you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
But you did this as a kid.
I did this as a kid. Okay. And I heard this story secondhand from my mom. Okay. So here, a little background. My dad was a World War II enthusiast. He loved watching the shows about it. He loved watching movies kind of based in that era.
Like a history buff.
He liked the history buff. And he always had a certain fascination with the German side in the war. He was very fascinated with how all that worked and the way their military was structured and all those things.
So he read a lot about Nazis.
He read a lot about Nazis.
Yeah.
Okay. And whenever they were on screen in the war movies, he was like, look at these Nazis here. You know, so I being, I don't know, 4, 5.
This can only go somewhere good.
Didn't quite understand exactly what all was behind all that. But while I was with my mom in one of these little curio shops where they got all the little knickknacks and figurines and things like that, there was this display of World War II figurines. There was the American side and was the German side, and they were facing off together. And I say loudly to my mother, who was across the store at the time, I pointed at the glass, I said, look, Mom, Nazis. Dad likes Nazis.
Oh my.
So there was a little bit of explaining to do, and having heard that story, I was like, ooh, my mom must have cringed so hard that it shook her entire body and she needed to go to a chiropractor after to straighten her out. So I'm just thinking that that's probably how a lot of Democrats react when they hear these types of fringy leftists get up in front of a microphone and say things officially on the House floor.
And the question then is, will their loyalty to the incumbent, to the fringe left, because we've been saying the last 2.5 years that this radio station has been around, the far left is running the Democratic Party right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to make a conscious choice to say we have to reel in the crazy? Because some of the crazy have reeled themselves in. Ayanna Pressley, another member of the squad, she's kept her mouth shut a lot over the last year and a half.
That's true. Yeah, we haven't heard much from her at all. There are members of the squad who have been very, very quiet.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about Tlaib. We hear a lot about
Ilhan Omar.
Omar and Bush. Like those three are the ones who always are talking. I haven't even heard that much from AOC.
Yeah,
correct.
She's tried to reel it in as well. Because before Cori Bush was the leading nutcase, AOC's the leading. Listen, I don't think AOC's that smart.
No,
I really don't.
That's her thing. Cori Bush is crazy, but AOC was dumb.
Yeah,
like that was the
And don't get me wrong, I think Cori Bush is really dumb too.
Well, yes, obviously, but her crazy outweighs her dumb.
Yes, her crazy, and it's not even so much. It's her crazy, and then you mix in her bigotry.
Yes,
because she is a full-on bigot, and I get that there are people saying, Mike, no, stop laying out this strategy. Listen, the Democrats know what the smart thing for them to do is. It's a matter of will they do it, and I am more concerned with St. Louis at least having representation that is not going to hurt the region. Now, I think leftist ideas are bad ideas, and whichever leftist is in there is not going to be good for the country or for the region. But somebody like Wesley Bell is not going to actively get in and destroy things and slash and burn. He's going to have bad policies that contribute to bad results. But that's a much better area. And it's honestly, local Democrats should be looking at what does this do around the country, because Cori Bush has helped elect some Republicans around the country.
Absolutely. So, yeah, here's your chance. Ball's in your court, Democrats. When you get your ballot, because, that's the way we do things here. When you get your ballot, it's up to you who you want to put in that office.
Yeah, exactly. All right, 314-912-1019. So after primary election day next August, will this be the song that's playing?
Golly, I hope so.
We'll be all right without you, Cori Bush. Go back to hiding under bunkers from the Klansmen who were shooting from over the ridge in North County. Paying your $2,000 utility bills that you tried to tell us that you did.
Paying your husband for all your security.
Paying your husband for all your security. Yeah. So try that. And I'll tell you, if she loses that primary, can you imagine how unhinged she'll be and what she'll have to say between then and the new Congress?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to see her with a bullhorn on top of a car, like hanging onto a light pole or something like that, screaming about burn this place down, like some of her compatriots did.
Typical crazy leftist is. That's just what they do.
That's how they do. That's how they roll.
314-912-1019. It's 1019-941 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Talking with our great friends, Rob and Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing. What about these storms that hit us all the time? What's going on with that in the roofs?
We haven't seen a storm season like this in years. Trees are falling on people's houses. We've never seen this much. It's just crazy.
I'm not getting on the ladder. I'm afraid of heights. That's why I trust you guys.
And Vic, if you see roofing companies at your neighbors' houses, give us a call, because if they have storm damage, it's possible that you do as well, at 314-375-7475.
Or ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Ali Dorhan from Turkey.
If you have two cars in Turkey, you would consider it very wealthy person. And here, when I heard about my friends, they have two cars. How come? You're a teacher and you have two cars. And it didn't make sense to me.
Stories of New Americans. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
If you're 19 or older with certain underlying medical conditions such as asthma or diabetes, you can get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. If you're 65 or older, it is also recommended you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. No matter the season, talk to your doctor about vaccination today and learn more at lung.org/protect yourself. A message from the American Lung Association in collaboration with Pfizer.
Furnished by the American Lung Association.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Columbo and Katie.
Wednesday is debate day, and we'll preview the debate and its local impact with Rodney Boyd at 2:20. Then we'll have some fun with Mark Close and Skip Weber when we open Close's cabinet at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Last few minutes we've got. Let's kind of go around the room here. The debate tonight.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, one part seriously, other part fun. It's kind of my last pitch here for tonight's debate watch party, and Camellia was just telling us we're getting a really good response. So there's going to be a lot of your compatriots, a lot of your
people.
Yeah, your fellow freedom conservative-minded folks are going to be out at Westport Playhouse tonight. Starting at 6 o'clock, doors open then, and we'll start having some pre-debate stuff at 6:30. But go to newstalkstl.com to get all the information and to get on the list. It is free, by the way. It's free. Cash bar, but everything else just free. Food's free. Admission's free. We're going to watch the debate starting at 7 o'clock out there. But when you look at the debate tonight, it really bugs me that so much of this side of the campaign has been just kind of pushed aside. And whether or not you pay attention to it, I think this debate actually is going to matter. I don't think it's make or break for most of the candidates, but I do think a strong debate helps them. I will say that if Vivek Ramaswamy has a bad debate, I don't know that he's able to continue building any sort of momentum or recover from it. At that point, it might be time for him to decide what's the next step, either to do something else in the movement or set up for another campaign in 2 or 4 years from this, because I definitely think he's going to be a factor in the future. But I think if he steps in it tonight, I think it's going to be really, really hard for him. The other candidates, I don't know that it necessarily changes. I don't know if it's a deal breaker for them or not, but they could certainly build some momentum if they have a good showing in the debate.
Yeah, I think Nikki Haley also, because she has kind of been on the rise, the momentum is kind of behind her coming into this. Yeah. If she falters, though, that could, I mean, the potential, because you are a momentum grabber at time and you hit a bad spot there, that it's possible, especially, this isn't that late in the game, but especially later here in the game, that could taper her off. I mean, that could say, okay, here's the ceiling, you've hit it, and it's all, either you're going to stay where you are or go downhill from here. So that's a possibility on her side.
The election was 1 year from yesterday.
Right. The general election.
The general election. Brian on Facebook makes an interesting comment, and we've touched on this off and on over the past few weeks. Don't give a single penny to the GOP, meaning the party. Mm-hmm. Give to and support individual candidates, not the party. The GOP needs a clean house completely from top down. And we agree.
Well done.
Nicely done, Brian.
Yes. That's not a sound effect. That's us.
That's us clapping. Literally.
Not another penny to the RNC.
No.
Not one.
Not one. I see here, and it's kind of started to come across my Twitter feed. Resign is starting to trend for Ron McDaniel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, what we have, like the debate tonight, is what we have. We've got 5 candidates on that stage because they have made the decision to unilaterally try to vet out candidates before any voters get to have a say on it. Now, Doug Burgum's going to be on the ballot in some areas, but nobody's hearing from him. You know, he's not getting the same exposure. Larry Elder finally gave up on his campaign. People weren't allowed to hear from him the way that they were allowed to hear from him.
They should have been able to.
They should have been able to hear from him, without a doubt. And that first debate, Doug Burgum got on. You remember we were joking. We're like, who's Doug Burgum, man? We never. And that first debate, we were going, whoa.
I was impressed by him.
Who is this guy? We need to learn more about him. And so apparently the RNC is like, ooh, no more of that.
He gone.
So we're going to vet him out. And listen, it's the voters' job to vet them now. I'm not saying that you put every gadfly who files a piece of paper on there. So it's one thing. But the other things that the RNC has done is to say, we're going to monopolize these debates. You're not allowed to have any others because a couple of the candidates were going to have kind of a town hall one-on-one discussion at some state party thing somewhere. And the RNC is like, no, unless we sanction it and we're running it, no, you cannot do that. So voters somewhere were denied that opportunity. Now, Ron DeSantis is going to debate Gavin Newsom here later this month.
Right.
Not a thing that the RNC can do about that.
Right.
Because it's not a presidential primary or caucus debate. So the RNC is finding ways to mess this up.
Yeah.
And I get the strategy of them wanting to maintain some control, but it is absolutely not the place of the RNC to tell Republican voters, to tell conservative voters who they're allowed to hear from and who they're not. But having said that, we've got 5 pretty different candidates on there. They're going to agree on the majority of things. They are all in the same political party, but they're going to make, I think, the best. If they do what they did in that first debate, I do think this could shift some of the ways that people look at the presidential campaign on this. The reality is that there are a lot of people waiting to see what happens with Donald Trump's legal trouble.
Now,
does
a
that
lot
mean
going on
that
there.
he suddenly is not going to be the front
Oh,
runner?
no.
Not at all. Not in the least bit. But the fact of the matter is that if they give people something worth watching and listening to, they're going to do it. And if they fall apart and just have a children's tantrum party, well, that's first of all, that's going to make the watch party even more fun because we're gonna go after them for that. But it's at that point it could solidify the trajectory of other things. But we'll see. It's just so many variables. We don't know what's going to happen. So what better way to watch it than with a lot of like-minded people?
Can we do a bingo card with cartoon characters?
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
Can.
Just not Donald Duck because that joke has sailed. Please don't. Yeah,
that
stop.
didn't work.
But I mean, those individual sort of town hall style debates would have been really, really cool. But I mean, short of that though, we've got the debate that's coming up tonight. So come out and join us.
Absolutely. NewsTalkSTL.com is where you get more, all the information you need. I hope to see you there. I'd love to say hi to you.
So perhaps my work here is done. Perhaps it's time that I moved on to a place where there's stuff to do. Stuff to do.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families, and you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-925-1596. 800-925-1596. 800-925-1596. That's 800-925-1596.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns, whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today. Solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategy